1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Eh bien, chers téléspectateurs de télévision, bienvenue au pied du Mont Cameroun. On vous l'a dit, eh bien, nous sommes en direct pour cet événement majeur, la sixième session d'évaluation du plan présidentiel de reconstruction et du développement des régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Événement majeur, déploiement majeur. Dash Télévision est bien là pour vous faire vivre minute by minute cet événement. Et pour le moment, à cet instant où nous sommes en direct avec vous, les petits plats sont en train d'être mis dans les grands. On assiste actuellement au bal des autorités, des invités qui arrivent au fur et à mesure et qui font le plein d'œuf de cette salle de conférence du Mountain Hotel ici à Buea pour justement cette réunion majeure qui verra, on l'a dit, la participation exceptionnelle du Premier ministre chef du gouvernement, Dr Chief Joseph Diangoute, qui est justement actuellement à Buea pour justement cet événement. Le Premier ministre qui hier a fait son arrivée et qui a été accueilli en grande pompe. Et actuellement, je vous annonçais le bal des autorités. On peut noter l'arrivée à cet instant du gouverneur de la région du Sud-Ouest, Okaliabila, qui vient justement de faire son entrée dans cette salle du Mountain. Et ça se poursuit sur le tarmac de cet endroit. On peut observer des personnes qui font des interviews, des photos justement pour marquer d'une pierre blanche cette sixième session d'évaluation du plan présidentiel de développement et des régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest, mesdames et messieurs. On le note que c'est la sixième session du genre et puis c'est une session d'évaluation. Qu'est-ce qui a été fait jusqu'ici sur les plans sociaux, environnementaux, justement de construction des infrastructures pour se relever de cette guerre, du moins de cette crise qui sévit dans les régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Ce sera donc la trame majeure de cette grande réunion qui se déroule ici à Buea, et on note que est recherchée justement par le gouvernement camerounais et les partenaires près de 152 milliards de francs CFA pour justement mener à bien ce projet. On saura tout à l'heure les montages, où en sommes-nous. On sera accroché justement à cet événement pour avoir les détails. Eh bien, Dash Télévision, on vous l'a dit, est présent pour cet événement et je vais justement accueillir ici Amenga qui également est de la partie et qui vous donnera encore d'amples informations. Bonjour Amenga.
Bonjour Cédric, bonjour à tous nos téléspectateurs. Alors vous l'avez dit, on parle de près de 152 milliards de francs CFA et peut-être même plus sur le long terme. Je vais donc rappeler, on a des acteurs majeurs, vous l'avez dit, on a déjà le gouverneur qui est arrivé il y a quelques secondes et on reste dans l'attente du Premier ministre chef du gouvernement. Alors ce plan présidentiel pour la reconstruction et le développement des régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest, on a donc Paul Tasson, qui est l'un des acteurs centraux, sinon majeurs de ce grand événement. Alors, il a donc mis en place, on le sait, une nouvelle stratégie pour pouvoir collecter des fonds, pour pouvoir reconstruire, pour justement mener à bien ce projet qui a été confié des mains de maître par le président de la République, Paul Biya. Il est donc le président du comité de pilotage de ce plan présidentiel pour la reconstruction et le développement. Le ministre Paul Tasson, lui, déjà, il y a quelques mois, était en 2024, il dévoilait un ensemble de directives qui visaient donc à faciliter, je le disais, la mise en œuvre du programme auprès de la population du Nord-Ouest et même du Sud-Ouest. Alors cela a été au cœur d'une grande réunion également. Je pense que c'était la 4e session. Aujourd'hui, nous en sommes à la 6e. Vous l'avez dit d'ailleurs, on a encore sur les images le gouverneur de la région qui justement met en place les dernières stratégies. Probablement, il va à la rencontre du Premier ministre qui est annoncé dans quelques minutes ici même à l'hôtel des Sabouches, comme vous pouvez le voir. Il y a des fortes personnalités, vous l'avez dit Cédric, qui ont déjà pris place dans la salle. Alors, ce plan, d'ailleurs, on a plusieurs changements qui ont été annoncés au cours des 5 premières sessions. Vous avez annoncé la 6e. Cédric, le ministre évoquait, d'ailleurs, je parle de Paul Tasson, l'intégration de plus de partenaires pour la mise en œuvre. Il déclarait également la détermination du gouvernement camerounais à œuvrer au retour des personnes déplacées à l'intérieur du pays, parce que c'est également un gros challenge. On a la majorité de la population qui a eu à fuir les combats et aujourd'hui, ces populations, malheureusement, se retrouvent un peu dispersées à travers le Cameroun. Il faut rassembler les familles, il faut reconstruire et surtout, il faut relancer le processus développement. Il y a donc plusieurs projets qui aujourd'hui ont déjà été mis en œuvre. On parlera dans les détails des constructions de routes, des écoles, des hôpitaux. Beaucoup de travail est donc fait sur le terrain. C'est la raison justement de cette 6e session, comme vous l'avez dit, Cédric et Adrien et Pita. Donc l'évaluation concerne également ce qui a été fait, ce qui sera fait, ce qui est en train d'être fait et surtout les montants qui jusqu'ici ont été mis à disposition par les différents partenaires et les promesses qui sont justement à venir. C'est donc le travail qui sera fait ici aujourd'hui et aujourd'hui également il y a un gros travail qui sera fait sur le terrain, notamment des descentes sur le terrain. Il y a 2 arrêts qui sont prévus en cette journée puis il y aura donc une conférence de presse pour expliquer à la presse camerounaise et même internationale présente ici quels sont les enjeux de cette 6e session et surtout quels sont les enjeux.
Oui, Armel Gab, de cette 6e session d'évaluation du plan présidentiel et de développement des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. On le note également, on parlait de chiffres tout à l'heure, jusqu'au 31 décembre 2024. Que plus de 30 milliards de francs CFA ont déjà été mobilisés sur les 152 milliards attendus. Ça veut dire que beaucoup a été fait, mais jusqu'ici, beaucoup reste encore à faire. C'est peut-être l'un des messages majeurs qui sortira de cette réunion, c'est-à-dire qu'il faut encore plus de mobilisation de la également les marchés. Il y a beaucoup de choses qui ont été détruites et petit à petit, l'idéal c'est que cela puisse revoir le jour et que la vie reprenne son cours normal pour cet événement. Et puis on note actuellement l'arrivée du gouverneur de la région du nord-ouest, Adolphe Lélé-Lafrique, qui vient de faire son entrée ici même dans la salle de conférence du Mountain Hotel et qui rejoint donc la plupart des autorités qui sont déjà arrivées. On note traditionnels qui sont venus nombreux ce jour justement pour cet événement. Et je m'en vais également terminer par le 3e pilier de ce plan présidentiel. On note que c'est la revitalisation de l'économie locale. Parce qu'avec, justement, je l'ai dit, les affres de la crise, l'économie a pris un sérieux coup. Et il faudrait qu'au sortir de ces sessions, qu'on sache ce qu'on va faire concrètement pour que l'économie dans les régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest puisse véritablement se développer. Voilà ainsi dit les axes majeurs de ce plan présidentiel.
Eh bien voilà, merci Cédric, on parlait justement des directives. Il faudrait qu'on revienne sur les objectifs clés des nouvelles directives qui ont justement été développées par le ministre Paul Tasson. L'objectif principal de ces différentes directives, selon les responsables, est de créer aujourd'hui un environnement propice au retour des personnes déplacées dans leur village. Cela implique renforcer la gouvernance locale. On parle ici de décentralisation qui véritablement sera mise en place puisque les autorités locales, les maires, les gouverneurs, les préfets sont totalement impliqués. Ils sont appelés à participer majoritairement dans la reconstruction de ces régions. Le PPRD sera donc principalement mis en œuvre par les autorités régionales et locales. Je le disais, ce qui leur permettrait de répondre aux besoins internes des populations qui se trouvent dans leurs différentes circonscriptions administratives. Il s'agira également de promouvoir la cohésion sociale. On va donc se rappeler que les différents thèmes qui appellent qu'on a lors des différentes cérémonies nationales, notamment la fête de l'unité, appelle à l'unité et à la cohésion sociale. On comprend donc que cela va en droite ligne avec justement ce plan de reconstruction de ces régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest au Cameroun. Alors, on continue d'avoir le bal des arrivées et des personnalités ici, on continue et alors nous recevons de plus en plus, cela bouge. Probablement, le Premier ministre y sera dans quelques secondes. Le ministre des Finances, Louis-Paul Moutazé, donc, qui fait son entrée, comme vous pouvez le voir à l'écran, il a honoré, par de sa présence à ce grand rendez-vous, il est accompagné justement de son staff. Il fait à présent son entrée dans la salle. Et dans quelques secondes, probablement, le Premier ministre également fera son entrée dans cette salle. Comme vous pouvez le voir, plusieurs autres personnalités sont annoncées au cours de cette 6e session. Voilà, c'est un gros travail qui est donc fait par le gouvernement, on le disait encore hier, par le gouvernement tout entier. Et vous pouvez voir, le bal continue justement. Alors Cédric, on revenait justement enjeux économiques de cette 6e session, parce qu'on ne va pas négliger les enjeux économiques qui sont d'une importance capitale et majeure, outre le volet social, outre le volet politique. on va s'arrêter un peu plus en profondeur sur le volet économique. On parle de la reconstruction. Le volet économique est donc en première marche, y compris l'unité, la cohésion sociale. Alors, on parlait de pratiquement 152 milliards de francs CFA. 152 milliards de francs CFA. Non, puisque je vous passerai la parole. Vous êtes en complément avec moi. Donc, alors, ces 152 milliards ce sont les aléas du direct, mais on fait avec. Alors, ces 152 milliards de francs CFA, aujourd'hui, on a pu avoir une grande partie de la somme. Mais sauf qu'on reste encore dans l'attente. C'est la raison pour laquelle le gouvernement camerounais fait un travail de relance des partenaires nationaux, mais surtout internationaux, justement pour les contributions.
Vous l'avez dit, Armelga, et je le disais tout à l'heure, quelque chose a été fait, mais beaucoup reste encore à faire. Et il faut que beaucoup de partenaires nationaux et internationaux sont déjà greffés à cet événement. On va citer entre autres le PNUD qui est fortement représenté ici. On note également la Banque islamique de développement qui a et justement des fonds pour ce plan de reconstruction et de développement des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Également la Banque mondiale qui a également beaucoup en ce sens-là. Également la Banque africaine de développement, la BAD, qui est impliquée dedans. On note également un fort apport du Japon. Il y a le Japon, un des grands partenaires du Cameroun, on le sait, qui également prend part à ce projet-là, tout comme le groupement des industries meunières du Cameroun, également l'association professionnelle des établissements de crédit du Cameroun. Autant de partenaires, également l'Italie et la France, il faut le noter, partenaires nationaux et internationaux, je le disais, sont greffés à cet événement et à cette initiative. Et beaucoup, comme Armelga vous le disiez tout à l'heure, reste encore à faire afin que la vie reprenne véritablement son cours comme il y a, on va dire, peut-être 7-6 ans dans ces régions qui, depuis quelques années, les affres de la crise et vont justement se relever grâce à cela. Et le gouvernement camerounais, donc, qui met en place ce plan penser la vie dans les régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Eh bien, le bal des arrivées se poursuit et Dash Télévision vous fait vivre de manière majeure ce qui se passe ici. Vous ne perdrez rien de cet événement. Je crois que Peter Soucier, vous n'allez pas me démentir.
Cedric Dashako, the various personalities continue making their way into the conference hall to host the Seat Steering Committee meeting for the evaluation of the presidential plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon, as you can watch there through the lenses of cameraman Emmanuel Kejinsi, that is Senate President for Tabetando, who is making his way into the hall. For Tabetando, who of course is a traditional ruler from Manu division of the Southwest region. He is being accompanied there by Senator Ote Andrew Mufa from Bonge, as well as the Member of Parliament in Meme division, Asho Lawson.
Lawson, not Asho Lawson.
Yeah, accompanied by Tap Lawson, who is also so it is a strong delegation of members of parliament and those who are making their way here. They are now taking their turns to get the necessary accreditation credentials for this particular conference. Just note that moments ago, as you watched, it was the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Moutaze, who was accompanied by the Minister of Social Affairs, Professor Pauline Igeni, and a host of other government officials who were making their way here. It should be noted that the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lele Lafrique, is also here. We have also seen the president of the Public Independent Conciliator for the Northwest region of Cameroon, who is also in the hall. We also have the city mayors of Limbe and Kumba, who are also here, in out the mayor of the host city, Boya, who is also part of this event. It promises to be an event which will see the various elites and forces of the region come together to reflect on the gains that have been made so far as the reconstruction and development plan initiated by the President of the Republic for the Northwest and Southwest regions have gone. everything being equal, Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Jongote, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Jongote is he has been received there by the governor of the Southwest region. The mayor of Buea. We can also spot the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly. That is the delegation that has received the Prime Minister, Head of Government, as they make their way now into the conference hall where the Seat Steering Committee meeting to evaluate the reconstruction and development plan will effectively kick off in earnest. We shall be having time to talk to the mayor of Buea later on in the course of this live broadcast, but exactly.
Yeah. Permet justement d'enclencher et de résoudre le problème, parce que la mission principale de ce plan est d'améliorer les conditions de vie. Premier objectif, comme on dit target en anglais, c'est justement les infrastructures de base, écoles, routes, les établissements sanitaires, car durant où la crise anglophone a handicapé le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest Cameroun en matière d'accès à l'éducation pour les enfants, l'accès aux soins de santé et surtout les routes. Le plan présidentiel, premier achievement, grande réalisation dans cette partie du pays, le Ring Road, qui est un élément essentiel pour les transactions économiques.
Particularly in the Northwest region, the Ring Road, which links all the 7 divisions of the Northwest region. It is one of the key projects in the presidential plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions of the country. The protocol arrangements are getting more intense here. We have just spotted the Member of Parliament for Buea Oban, who is also one of the participants of this event, as the protocol begins intensifying modalities for the grand reception of the Prime Minister, Head of Government here at the hall hosting the Seat Steering Committee meeting.
La particularité de cette session d'évaluation, puisque nous sommes rendus à la 6e, Peter Saucier, est que tous les acteurs de la société sont impliqués ici, que ce soit les leaders, les gardiens des traditions, les acteurs de la société civile, les opérateurs économiques, mis à part les autorités administratives qui sont justement chargées de driver et de guider et de donner l'orientation nécessaire pour que la matérialisation de ce plan présidentiel sur le terrain. Tous ces acteurs-là sont comme des petites mains mises ensemble justement pour que tout se passe bien. La première étape a concerné particulièrement une 50aine de communes, notamment dans le sud-ouest et le nord-ouest. Élément essentiel, l'accès à l'eau potable et à l'énergie électrique, avec des adductions d'eau qui ont été multipliées dans les localités, surtout enclavées, où ce n'est pas chose évidente.
And we are going to witness some of those realizations later on during the day, because the Prime Minister is expected to go to Sase, where he will see for himself the job that has been done, and later on to the also where a lot has been done there to ensure that the students get the best as far as technical and vocational training is concerned. The various top military officials of the region, the Northwest and Southwest regions, are also making their way into the hall with everything equal. We are just getting information that the Prime Minister will be at the Islamic Gratitude Primary School to evaluate firsthand, primary, secondary school, to evaluate for himself the job that has been done as far as the presidential plan is concerned. We do have one of the major participants here, Mr. Dominique Yenai Asa, who is who is the regional for Ministry of Economic Planning and Regional Development. Sir, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. I think the Prime Minister, head of government, has a very charged program. In fact, it is history in the sense that he decided to come to the field to feel and touch the realization of the presidential plan. The presidential plan ordained by the Major National Dialogue and went into action in 2020 with the Prime Minister's decree. Later on, the operations took off the ground in 2022. And all through, the steering committee has been holding in the Prime Minister's office in Yaoundé. This time around, what we call field implementation, what we call operationalism and optimism in the execution of the presidential plan, the Prime Minister, head of government, decided to come to the field. Coming to the field, not to Boya, but coming to the Southwest region, as he intends to visit the two major projects, the wonderful refurbishment of Technical High School, Ombe, and not only that, there's equally the Islamic Gratitude Primary Secondary School. These are thanks to the Japanese government, to the Islamic Development Bank, thanks to Brasseries de Cameroon, thanks to the European Union, thanks to other development partners. And this again, I say it is realism. The proof of concept took off the ground with the SASE, but it was effectively Islamic primary and secondary, and then the secondary school. This is where the story will be written, that the Prime Minister himself came and saw it with the partners, the donor partners. The European Union is here, the Japanese ambassador is here, the Brasseries de Cameroon, and the UNDP, which is the major implementing partner. And again, 18 implementing partners have been taken on board for the implementation of this plan in the Southwest region.
Thank you very much, the regional delegate for the Ministry of Economic Planning and Regional Development. And
on a l'arrivée du ministre Paul Tasson ici. Ce sont des acteurs majeurs en termes d'évaluation de ce qui est fait sur le terrain ici.
Paul Tasson is the president of the steering committee.
De l'aménagement.
He is also the president of the steering committee charged with the implementation of the presidential plan for the Northwest and Southwest region. The minister delegate at the Ministry of Economic Planning and Regional Development, who is at the nerve center of the implementation program for the presidential plan of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Of course, he will have so much to tell the public and Cameroonians in general, the strides that have been made, the difficulties, the stakes, as well as challenges.
Justement, Peter Sautier, Paul Tasson, qui est le coordonnateur national du PPRD, des régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Il est chargé de présenter donc le contenu de ce plan présidentiel des trois régions. Il faut préciser qu'on est ici dans le cadre du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest Cameroun, mais on est également l'extrême nord Cameroun qui est sinistré économiquement du fait des exactions de la secte islamiste Boko Haram et bien d'autres. Ce sont ces trois régions qui bénéficient justement au Cameroun du statut de région spéciale où l'économie est sinistrée, et du fait de ce statut particulier-là, les investisseurs bénéficient des exonérations lorsqu'on parle de fiscalité. Je parle avec l'expertise de Armel
Our senior economic reporters, Amelga and Cédric Dachako,
responsable du DEX Économie.
Oui, vous l'avez dit, effectivement ça. On sait que à l'issue du grand dialogue national qui justement s'est tenu du côté de Yaoundé, ces 2 zones ont été déclarées zones spécial, justement, ce qui voudrait traduire que il y a des conditions particulières qui sont réservées à ces régions-là, notamment dans on va dire quoi, l'investissement et tout, dans le développement de l'économie, des spécificités propres à ces deux régions du Cameroun, et cela pourra donc permettre, d'après la vision du gouvernement, de relever petit à petit les économies de cette région qui, après la crise, justement, a subi un coup. On attend toujours la fumée blanche. On va dire qu'on attend la fumée blanche. Enfin, voilà. On peut l'apercevoir, Adrien.
We can now spot the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote, who has finally made his way into the conference room. The arrival of Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote will set the stage now for the effective start of the Seat Steering Committee meeting to evaluate the presidential plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions. Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote, who has been putting all his energy to see to it that the various partners, both government, private and international partners, give their all for the success of the plan. And without much ado, we shall have some time to allow the Prime Minister take his seat for the effective start of the programme.
On peut dire que les petits plats sont effectivement mis dans les grands avec l'arrivée du Premier ministre, chef du gouvernement, le Dr. Chief Joseph John Gote, et tout à l'heure qu'on va assister au début effectif de ces travaux de la 6e session d'évaluation de ce plan présidentiel de développement et justement des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Tout le monde ici au Mountain Hotel sont donc debout en train d'accueillir le Premier ministre, chef du gouvernement, qui vient de faire son entrée. Et vous pouvez justement apercevoir sur votre petit écran, il procède actuellement il salue justement les personnalités qui sont présentes dans cette salle du Mountain Hotel où les travaux ne vont pas tarder à commencer. Et notons-le, vous l'avez également vécu hier en grandeur nature sur les antennes de Dash Télévision, le Premier ministre Dr. Chief Joseph John Gote qui a fait son entrée triomphale, on a envie de dire, dans la ville de Buea avec des arrêts du côté de Tico, du côté on va dire quoi,
dans la salle. Et je pense que nous assistons là
après la ville de Douala,
au début
il y a eu
effectif de cette 6e session d'évaluation de ce plan présidentiel et nous allons vivre ensemble ce moment.
Our pressmen, we thank you. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote, members of government, the Governor of the Southwest region, the Governor of the Northwest region, the Coordinator of the United Nations System in Cameroon, of the World Bank, the representative of the Islamic Development Bank, the President of the Steering Committee of the Presidential Plan, the Coordinator of PPRD, the Vice Presidents of the Senate and the National Assembly, the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly, the President of the Southwest House of Chiefs, the Senior Divisional Officer for FACO, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Mayor of the Buea Council, Director Generals, General Managers, Your Majesty's traditional rulers, religious leaders, esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen. The program of the 6th session of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest regions taking place today, Friday, May 30th, 2025 in Buea. In the distinguished presence of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, shall unfold as follows. We have the execution of the national anthem, word of prayer, word of welcome by the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly, presentation and validation of the PPRD activity report, review and adoption of the PPRD 2025 annual work plan, the signing of the tripartite agreement between Boisson du Cameroun SABC, the Kumba City Council and the PPRD for the construction of a stadium in Kumba. Concluding remarks by His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, family photo, and a cocktail. There will equally be a visit of 2 projects of PPRD in the field. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, shall we please rise for the execution of the national anthem? O Cameroon, down. 1, 2, 3, let's go. Cameroon. Thank you, Excellencies. May we sit down. I now have the honor to invite our religious leader, the Right Reverend Funky, for a word of prayer.
Please remain seated. Let us pray. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we thank you for granting your people traveling mercies to this very important meeting in the life of our nation, the 6th session of the Steering Committee for the Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. We thank you, Heavenly Father, that thus far you have been with your people of Cameroon in enabling us through this presidential plan to bring lasting peace, unity, and social cohesion amongst your people. We pray that this 6th session will take us a step further and let your will be done on our nation as it is in heaven. Bless all what we'll do here this day for the enhancement of the development of our nation and for peace in our land. Bless our head of government, the Prime Minister, who is here with us to oversee this steering committee meeting, that you also direct him in his duties to do just what is exacting for your people. Let your will be done on us and on all of Cameroon as it is in heaven. We make our humble supplications in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Funky. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I now respectfully invite participants to listen to the word of welcome by the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly.
Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, members of government here present, the Governor of the Southwest Region, representative of the state, members of the diplomatic corps here present, the President of the Northwest Regional Assembly, Your Majesties, the President of the Northwest and the Southwest House of Chiefs, General Managers of State Corporations, Honorable Members of both Houses of Parliament, the National Coordinator of the Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest Regions, City Mayors and Mayors of the Northwest and the Southwest Regions, distinguished invitees in your respective capacities, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the population of the Southwest Region, I am elated to welcome the Prime Minister, Head of Government, His Excellency Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, to Buea, the chief town of our beloved region. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, your choice of Buea to host the 6th session of the Steering Committee of the Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest regions is an eloquent testimony of your tireless determination to ensure that projects programmed and executed within the framework of this plan have effective impact on the living conditions of the population of the Southwest region. Our sister region, the Northwest, victim of vandalization of public and private property during the stormy days of the crisis, feels comforted that invitations were equally addressed to them to be part of the present session of the Steering Committee of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest regions. May I seize this opportunity to extend to them the warm greetings of the population of the Southwest region and to invite them to feel at home throughout their stay in this beautiful region, already enjoying the return to peace. Finally, our gratitude goes to all invitees of the Prime Minister to today's session for keeping aside their respective crowded schedules and traveling long distances to Buea. Your presence in our region is an eloquent testimony of the fact that life in the Southwest region has returned to normal. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, members of government and personalities ranking as such, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, the populations of the Northwest and the Southwest region will forever remain indebted to the President of the Republic and Head of State, His Excellency Paul Biya, for putting in place the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest regions. This plan, closely supervised by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, has gone a long way to alleviate the plight of our respective populations, victims of atrocities committed by our misguided brethren. The above, coupled with the effective implementation of national and effective implication of national and international partners, as well as the dedicated team of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest regions, account for the successful and effective implementation of this lofty plan put in place by the President of the Republic. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, we pray you to convey our sincere gratitude to the Head of State for putting in place the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Since we are at the eve of the 2025 presidential elections, we equally pray you to assure him of the unflinching support of the population of the Southwest region, and I believe that of the sister region or Northwest region. The populations of both regions stand firmly behind him to ensure a landslide victory for our CPDM national candidate come October 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, today's session, the sixth of its kind, will obviously provide an opportunity for stakeholders to take stock of the road so far covered for 2025, in line with the determination of government under the leadership of the Prime Minister, head of government, to lay the foundation for a better future for the population of the Northwest and the Southwest regions. The rehabilitated health facilities and schools, as well as diverse support to various stakeholders in the domain of education, are greatly and positively impacting the welfare of our people, strengthening social cohesion, and rekindling the economic development of both regions. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, head of government, regional and local authorities of the Northwest and the Southwest regions are very optimistic that with the positive evolution of the security situation of both regions, a lot will be achieved to improve the welfare of our respective populations as we work closely with the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest region. Within the framework of the present dispensation, the regional and local authorities of both regions are ready to work in close collaboration with the managerial team of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest regions to identify priority areas for intervention. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot end this address without expressing the gratitude to His Excellency the Prime Minister, head of government, for choosing regional and local authorities of both regions to henceforth be the implementing partners for projects funded by the PPRD. We want to assure Your Excellency of our commitment to meticulously and closely follow up the execution and effective realization of projects conferred on us within the framework of the recent convention signed between regional and local authorities of both regions on the one hand and the chairperson of the steering committee of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest region, His Excellency Minister Tasong Paul on the other hand. Long live the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and the Southwest region. Long live the one and indivisible Republic of Cameroon and its illustrious leader, His Excellency President Paul Biya. Thank you for your kind attention.
Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, our agenda shows two next items: presentation and validation of the PPRD activity report as of 31st December 2024, review and adoption of the PPRD 2025 activity report. I shall now invite the President of the Steering Committee of PPRD to address these two items.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister, Head of Government, honorable members of government, dear members of the Steering Committee, I will ask your authorization to stand on the protocol that has been so exhaustively presented by the Master of Ceremony. But before I go into this very heavy presentation, I would like to say a word or two to the Prime Minister or the Head of Government. Your Excellency, on behalf of the team that I lead, I would like to heartily thank you for your support and for your orientations without which we would not have been able to attain the little results that we have achieved so far. Your Excellency, your simple presence at this 6th session of the steering committee gives it a very special character. And we want to thank you so much as the representative of the head of state for raising the standard of this particular 6th session of our steering committee. Before I proceed, I would like to take responsibility for all possible organizational lapses that you may have noticed. We can only do our best. I understand most of you met the working documents today. We would have loved to get that to you much earlier. At the same time, the presentation I'm going to do is more or less a summary of those documents. And I bet you understanding those documents is not very difficult. It is structured to facilitate understanding by all participants. Can we go? The presentation of the implementation report of the PPRD from inception to the 31st of December 2024 will follow this 3-part plan. First, we'll do a rapid strategic overview of the PPRD. Secondly, we'll go into the core of the report itself, which we term the implementation status, and then we will share with you some key challenges and give perspectives of what next. In terms of strategic overview, just for purposes of refreshing our memories, the two regions are in crisis since 2016. The PPRD, the Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest, is one of the key resolutions of the major national dialogue, which was convened by the head of state and chaired by His Excellency, the Prime Minister, head of government. On the 3rd of April 2020, the Prime Minister effectively set the ball rolling by signing the organizational text which put in place the plan. That text was reviewed on the 30th of July 2024 on the strength of lessons learned. Important to note, coming out of the major national dialogue, the overall cost of the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and the Southwest regions were estimated at 2,500 billion CFA. The framework of the PPRD in terms of its structure is as follows. The plan was initiated by His Excellency President Paul Biya, head of state. The Prime Minister, head of government, is the supervisor. We have the steering committee, which is the third level, holding today. Then we have a coordination unit. And at the level of the two regions, we have 2 follow-up committees. And at the bottom is the foot soldiers, who are the implementing partners. The plan is phased out in 3 parts, but I want to start by insisting that the 3 parts run concomitantly, simultaneously. We have phase 1, which is recovery, which was expected to last 3 to 4 years, which is still dragging for reasons I may come back to. We have phase 2, which is reconstruction, and phase 3, which is development. So I will come back to each of the phases. For the recovery phase, the objective was to contribute to the return of peace amongst other initiatives which are running. Secondly, to restore the lost dignity of the citizens of the Northwest and the Southwest, to upgrade infrastructure and social facilities, and most important, to prepare the ground for the reconstruction and the development phases. The reconstruction phase seeks to revive the activities of agro-industries. This takes into consideration the fact that these 2 regions have tremendous agricultural potential, and reviving the activities of agro-industries is touching the livelihoods of the people. Secondly, it's important to support the revival of the private sector, the understanding being that the private sector is the real area where gainful employment is greatly created. And lastly, we have the promotion of decent employment, which follows the revival of the private sector. And this is in line with the National Development Strategy. The development phase seeks to enhance local economic resilience and position the regions on the accelerated path of economic growth. Important to note that the impact of the crisis goes beyond the borders of the Northwest and the Southwest regions, as it affects national economic growth. And lastly, the development phase seeks to strengthen infrastructure to support the production systems in the 2 regions. Again, we are at the core of the National Development Strategy. Coming to the implementation status, let's go to the recovery phase. The total estimated cost of the recovery phase was 89 billion from the beginning, and eventually we carried out a study which took it up to 154 billion. Sorry about that, it seems to be running away. Yes, and that phase has 3 key pillars. The first one is social cohesion. The second one is the rehabilitation of basic infrastructure. And the last one is focusing on revitalizing the local economy. I was about to insist that initially it was estimated to cost 89 billion, but the study that we carried out indicated that the destructions in an environment which is very dynamic had continued, and therefore the estimates moved up to 154 billion. Our next study will further help us determine with more precision what we will need to completely implement the recovery phase. The following financial partners of the state have stepped up to the plate to mobilize resources to enable us get to where we are today. I don't think I need to name them. It's visible enough. As of today, we have financial pledges to the tune of 42 billion from those partners and, of course, the government of Cameroon. And when I say today, I'm putting myself on the 31st of December 2024. And of the pledges of 42 billion, 30 billion have effectively been disbursed. Of the 30 billion disbursed, 21 billion has effectively been spent. So we have a balance of 8 billion in UNDP's account, UNDP being the key implementing partner of the recovery phase. And of what we have spent so far, you have the breakdown per region, which is about 7.5 billion for the Northwest and about the same amount for the Southwest. We have this breakdown per division, which is coming up slowly, but I want to probably preempt a question that may pop up to your minds, to the effect that it is impossible for every division to have exactly the same amount. First of all, we are in reconstruction, not construction. Secondly, the circumstances within which the plan has so far been implemented determined where we go first. We had to map out the administrative units of the two regions into three categories, what we call the red zones, the yellow zones, and the green zones. And of course, the administrative units which were considered as green took pride of place. We started where it was possible because of a commitment that we took to say we shall implement the plan in a way as to do no harm. That is, make sure that nobody dies, loses their life in the process. Thank God up to today, that's been the case. Secondly, the idea was to ensure that nothing that was reconstructed, rehabilitated, was destroyed, consequently. Up to now, we don't have such cases. So you may not expect to see a linear equality amongst the 13 divisions of the two regions. But we are also glad to say, as of today, the PPRD has footprints in all 65 administrative units of the two regions. If we go down to the subdivisions, the disparity may even be more prominent. This slide tries to show the breakdown per sector. That is, education sector, health sector, agricultural sector, infrastructure, and others. You have all of these in your documents. So the slide is coming up rather slowly, but we try to break that down so that we have a view of which of the sectors has benefited most. And this speaks by itself, because being a reconstruction plan of two regions where the enemies of the state vowed to render ungovernable, they particularly targeted certain institutions. And the education sector is the one that suffered most. The most targeted and affected was education infrastructure. The second was health infrastructure and what have you. So the resources have been distributed in a way to respond to the needs of each of these sectors. In terms of fiscal implementation, the accomplishments of the recovery phase look like this. In terms of social cohesion, the one thing that stood out, especially when it comes to lost dignity, was the fact that most of the citizens who were strongly affected by the crisis lost their dignity because they couldn't identify themselves. Imagine a citizen who has no ID card. When he comes across a control by officers of law and order, if you can't identify yourself, you are a man who has no dignity. So we try to lay focus on helping the affected population recover their dignity by trying to help them establish lost documents. This is what you see there, which is only 800, which stands at 400 per region. It's far from what we intend to do. But we asked that we put it on hold because it is important to know exactly, after the evaluation of what we've done so far, how effective it is. This is a very delicate component of this work. We want to be sure that the partners we are using are doing exactly the right thing. So a rapid assessment is ongoing, But we have sufficient resources to actually do thousands of those documents. I think most of the rest speak for themselves. I just thought I should stop on that particular one. I can't do that for all, otherwise we'll spend the whole day here. Here are just some pictures of social cohesion activities. And I think one of the most telling story is the construction and equipment of a women empowerment center in Nkambe. Now we've tried to summarize all the infrastructure that benefited from the plan till the 31st of December 2024. And there you have 99 schools rehabilitated, 39 health centers, 39 water points, 4 bridges. The list is long, that's just a demonstration. And you have here some of the infrastructure that benefited. I think I should also take a little stop to make a statement. The Prime Minister, head of government, gave us clear instructions. The target is the vulnerable population and not the institutions. That's to say, when we went out to look for structures to accompany, we were looking at structures that will be immediately beneficial to the people, irrespective of the owner of those institutions. That's why you will find many schools, many health centers which belong to partners of the state like religious bodies. There you see St. Joseph Primary School, Mankon Bamenda. And next door to us here is Sase College. I think I should make a statement about that one particularly. Sase College, we all know, is historic. Created in 1939, is the oldest secondary school in the Northwest and Southwest regions. When these guys went and burned down a dormitory and a refectory in Sase College, the PPRD immediately stepped up. Because once they burnt it down, all parents withdrew their children. Enrollment dropped from about 600 to less than 100. But PPRD came in, rehabilitated this infrastructure and built a more than a kilometer fence to secure the school. And the enrollment immediately shot back up. I think Sase College is one example of an immediate impact of the interventions of the PPRD. So the idea was, it is not important who owns the infrastructure so long as it will help the vulnerable children continue to further their education, so long as it will help the vulnerable population to have access to health facilities and what have you. Still some pictures across the two regions. You have all of this as annexes to the documents you have. Revitalizing local economic activities, most of the population being farmers. There was a lot of focus in rehabilitating farmlands and giving direct support to the farmers. It was important equally to pay some attention to markets. Many of the markets having been abandoned or seriously affected. But also it's important to look at the situation of youth startups. We're in Buea. And Buea prides itself by harboring what we call the Silicon Mountain. And lots of youth startups, especially in the areas of information and communication technology, have received support from the PPRD. There is a tech hub in Buea, which was built by the PPRD through UNDP's own resources. All of this, we think, has been able to give hope to the youths as a whole that the future could be brighter. Still, many pictures. You will see that the method of agriculture in some of the supports that have benefited from the PPRD go away from traditional agricultural practices. This is to support one of the key principles that govern the implementation of the PPRD, which is build back better. When the PPRD comes to an infrastructure, it rehabilitates it, but upgrades the infrastructure. Take, for example, when we rehabilitate a school, generally we provide a solar-powered borehole, so there is water in the school. Generally, we will make sure that there are sufficient toilets for girls and boys and what have you. So the principle, build back better, is demonstrated to some extent with the new farming techniques, which you see there, demonstrating the possibility of doing greenhouses in the two regions. All of that are some of the results and immediate impact of the implementation of the plan. Now let's go to the reconstruction phase. Target here, revive activities of agro-industries. And I should say that starting with the public agro-industries, for some reason, of the three regions of the country which are suffering from the crisis, the only 5 standing public agro-industries are located in these 3 regions. You have CDC, you have PAMOL, you have UNVDA in the northwest and the southwest, you have Sodikotom, and you have SEMRI in the far north. These are the only operational or active public agro-industries in the country. So we all know that the CDC, until now, is the second biggest employer in the country after the government. And one of the immediate impacts on the CDC of the crisis is not only the loss of production, but the loss of employment. I'll come back to that, especially to mention some of the specific actions that the government, through the Minister of Finance, has done to support the CDC and others. Support the revival of private sector activities and promote decent employment. Some of the actions taken so far, as I just said, important to mention that on the very high instructions of the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, and of course, under the guidance of the Prime Minister, head of government, the Minister of Finance disbursed the sum of 20 billion CFA to the Cameroon Development Corporation to pay back-top salaries to their workers. I was lucky to attend one of the meetings where the instructions were relayed. The instructions of the head of state were lay off no staff of the CDC. The state will assume its responsibility. I think this was the first disbursement, and the subsequent disbursements will enable the CDC and, of course, its workforce to regain their dignity, as I just mentioned. The Upper Noon Valley Development Authority, UNVDA, through its technical ministry, Ministry of Agriculture, has acquired new machines to further improve on the mechanization of their production processes. And it is expected that when these machines go fully operational, the output of the UNVDA will move from 20,000 to 30,000 tons of rice. That's not the end. We are working with the Turkish cooperation to accompany CDC, PAMOL, and UNVDA in having access to technology, modern technology, and, of course, finances to enable them revive their production systems. It's also important to take a stop at this this decision of government, which provides tax breaks to investors in the northwest, southwest, and the far north. As of today, when we estimate the fallout from these incentive measures, specifically targeting the 3 regions in crisis, about 166 billion of private investments have been recorded, and about 15,000 jobs have followed suit. Now, coming to the development phase, at the major national dialogue at Commission number 5, which was on reconstruction and development, there was a kind of outlook of the complaints coming from the northwest and the southwest. Some of the complaints were these projects that we all know, which the citizens of the 2 regions have been clamoring for very long. So the major national dialogue actually identified key projects which will have long-lasting impact, not only on the economy of the Northwest and the Southwest, but on the national economy. You have the Ring Road, you have the Mentum Falls, you have the Limbe Port, you have the railway from Limbe to Douala, you have Lum, Tombel, Kumba, Ikondo Titi, Mundemba Road, you have the Chang, Menji, Bakebe Road, and what have you. And of course, the rehabilitation of the existing road infrastructure. I think you all drove here, you see the state of the road. That's a real image of what the crisis has done to us, driving from Douala to Buea, especially from Bekoko to Buea. It's a kind of nightmare which we have not known before the crisis. Objective, provide the kind of infrastructure which is needed to accelerate the economic growth of the Northwest and the Southwest regions, and of course, the national economy. We thought of sharing with you some key ongoing infrastructure projects, which, on the strength of what I just mentioned, being the outcomes of the major national dialogue, are all brought into the PPRD. The PPRD is not recovery. It is recovery, it is reconstruction, and it is development. I gave you details of the recovery phase, but now, looking at the big picture, what we should take from this meeting is the Ring Road in the Northwest. The first lap is ongoing to the tune of 89 billion, funded by the African Development Bank. The Bamenda Babaju Road is almost complete, funded by the World Bank. The Bamenda Urban Crossing and upcoming works on urban roads in Bamenda are ongoing with about 30 billion funded by the French Development Agency. The Kumba-Ikondo Titi Road is ongoing with state-owned resources to the tune of about 40 billion. The Bangem-Guti Road is ongoing, state-owned resources, about 40 billion. Kumba-Manfe Road, we cannot leave it out because the road was not completed. The crisis actually stopped that road. So we have to bring it into the package. We have more initiatives which are ongoing in the two regions. But what I would like us to take home is the fact that of the 2,500 billion estimated cost of the reconstruction and development of the Southwest and Northwest regions, as of today, 585.4 billion has been rolled out. Some of the projects are completed, many are ongoing, and of course, more is to come. We are halfway. That may not look very impressive, but I think as time goes, the PPRD Gather scheme, the government has no reason not to follow, because the crisis died out and it is easier than before to implement projects in the two regions. I think I don't really need to emphasize on this, but that list of projects cannot be completed without the 30 billion that I've talked extensively about. But let's not leave out the social safety nets project, where the Northwest and the Southwest regions have so far been able to garnish 30 billion. This project attacks poverty at the root. It is important to bring it to the fold. And that's why, on the instructions of the Prime Minister, we took time to invite the two coordinators of the social safety nets in the two regions to this meeting. We can't leave out the support to the CDC. So all of these are still part of the big package. But again, we have this Rise Value Chain Development Project, which covers 3 regions. It's a package of multiple funding agencies from the Islamic world. It forms, the project covers 3 regions, Northwest, West, and Far North, but the component for the Northwest is 60 billion. And of course, the grassfield, participatory, and decentralized Rural Development Project Phase 2, which was executed at the cost of 19.5 billion. Maybe we can look at, well, I think all of this, as I said, is the breakdown of the entire package of 585 billion. There is a prologue we just started, the components for the two regions, there you have. The French cooperation, I already mentioned. It is not excessive to emphasize when it is good. And sometimes it doesn't really need to be too big to have an impact. I'd like to comment a bit on this Italian cooperation. Unfortunately, the shame the ambassador is not here, would have loved to be here. The Italian cooperation actually raised 500,000 euros to rehabilitate Seat of Wisdom College and Mary Health of Africa Hospital, which are two very vital and important institutions in the BLM division. Because of this investment, Seat of Wisdom College has opened its doors, and the hospital is alive and treating people as it is their vocation. These are just some pictures of the projects of the development phase. I just run over. Now let's look at the challenges and perspectives. Key challenges: project rescoping, which is important. We are executing the Islamic Development Bank projects, and quite so often we have to rescope some of the projects because of overlapping between the government public investment layouts and the projects as planned and financed by the Islamic Development. That sometimes impact is slight delays in implementation. Secondly, key challenge is the housing support. On the recovery phase, the component which is most awaited is accompany households rebuild their destroyed homes. And here again, I would like to applaud the wisdom of the Prime Minister, head of government, who is giving us clear orientations on how to tackle this. It is very tricky because if we go into a locality and assist a family whose house was not destroyed, would have sent the wrong signals. If we go into a locality and leave out one household whose home was destroyed, will send the wrong signal. So we are working hard to be sure that we only kick off that particular activity when we have absolute or near absolute certainty of who the beneficiaries will be. But we have a database which we're trying to investigate and be sure that we have the best possible information. Security and other access barriers continue to loom in some localities, but it is definitely diminishing to a very large extent. Resource mobilization is very slow, but I should say that the signals, the demonstration of goodwill by our partners is becoming more and more what it was not in the past. Many partners were doubtful, but now that the concept has been proven to be possible, that the approaches of doing this thing have been proven to be possible, more partners are demonstrating, manifesting interest. Every time the Prime Minister receives a diplomat or a head of an international organization, they demonstrate interest to come on board. So we are trying to capitalize on that newfound hope to make it possible. I did mention the fact that we need to update our database, because as of today, definitely it is not exhaustive, the crisis being very, very dynamic. The situation continues to change on the ground, even though it is less the case these days. In terms of perspectives, which means what next? Sorry. sometimes it's difficult to manipulate this thing. But just give me a minute, let me make sure I don't leave back anything of importance. Yes, in terms of perspectives, the priorities at this time is the rehabilitation of the road network and the reconnection of the electricity network in the region. This is the area which suffered to a very high extent. Access to the different localities in the two regions is more and more difficult, but even more difficult is the electricity network, where more and more localities of the two regions have been cut off from the national grid. We mentioned the reinforcement of the production system, key priority, CDC, PAMO, UNBDA, not only for economic growth, but for social purposes, recreate the employments which these three organs do generate in good number. The pursuit of the reconstruction of social services, we still have a couple of schools which are not yet, which have not yet received attention, some health centers which haven't received attention, and what have you. I would like to take a little stop on this perspective which we call multiple implementing partners. This is an offshoot of the current organic framework of the PPRD, which redefines the missions of the different organs of the PPRD. Important to note that the first phase of the recovery, we had one lone implementing partner, which is the UNDP. The circumstances at the time warranted that we go down that road for many reasons which I may not want to elaborate here now. But as the crisis continued to die out, the Prime Minister head of government thought that it was necessary and important to broaden the base of implementing partners. Broaden the base of implementing partners to permit the PPRD to play its role in reinforcing decentralization. Decentralization being one of the outcomes of the major, decentralization in its current format being one of the main outcomes of the major national dialogue. So the Prime Minister head of government opted to entrust the execution of projects to regional and local stakeholders. The advantages are many. The most important one is these stakeholders, be they regional authorities, the municipal authorities, be they other development missions in the region, Mideno, Soweto, Badeb, be they CDC, PAMO, and other devolved state services. The advantage is they live close to the projects. Getting them involved ensures stronger ownership of the projects, because the projects have to be used and the projects have to be protected. We can't possibly post a soldier in every school to ensure that what has been rehabilitated is not destroyed. The thing to do is to get the community itself, take ownership, make use of it, and make sure that it lives and it is sustainable. To implement these instructions of the Prime Minister as translated in the new organic framework, we have signed protocol agreements with all new implementing partners in the two regions. Many of them are councils, some are SDOs, some are other institutions. We've signed protocol agreements with them where we've streamlined their responsibility in not only implementing but to report adequately. This because the funding mechanism is not the classical budgeting funding mechanism. I'll come back to this funding mechanism when we'll do the annual work plan. So for the 2025 package of projects, as of now, 77% of all the projects have been devolved to councils, to the regional assemblies, and other partners on the ground. I already mentioned the importance of contributing in strengthening decentralization, and of course, in particular, the special status. That said, I want to thank you so much for your very keen and kind attention. I think it's been heavy, and I was paying attention to see if I was boring or not. I think I was not. Following this presentation, Your Excellency, because I captured your attention. Following this presentation, Your Excellency, the agenda request or suggest that maybe we take some questions from the floor. If there are any doubts in any of the elements that were shared with you, reminding you that you have all of this in your working documents, and thereafter, of course, the steering committee will be pleased if you approve this report for it to be able to continue its assignment. Thank you so much.
Your Excellencies, the microphone is yours. We shall entertain a few questions.
Thank you, His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, for giving me this opportunity. It's not a question as such, but it's an appeal. Your Excellency, this criteria of zonation, of green, red, yellow, or white, if you like, I think it has evolved. Before now, I couldn't go to Mbonge. I give an example. The road between Kumba and Ekondo Titi is safe to a certain degree. And I believe that if the criteria we can modify, because it should not be static. The zones are evolving. If they should evolve our zone, because the villagers are now taking education into their hands. And how do we verify? By having personal experience. I told the villagers, go and clear your campus. Let us look at the reaction. They went and cleaned up their campuses, no reaction. We put up street lights, no reaction. Everybody is happy. Everybody wants schools to come back. And most of our schools were burnt. And amongst those classrooms that were repaired, I realized that since our zone was classified as red, nothing has been done along the Kumba-Ekondo Titi road. No classroom has been rebuilt. But September, our people are appealing that classes should begin, schools should start. And if there are no classrooms, because the zones have been classified as red, how do our children go back to school? Because they still remain illiterate, unemployed, if at all they don't go to school. So primary schools, secondary schools, all around Kumbambo, to Ekondo Titi road, the infrastructure is not there. So I'm appealing strongly that they should reclassify this criteria for zonation, because we have improved drastically. Nobody is accompanied between Kumba and Ekondo Titi by a military vehicle. Nobody. And there have been no kidnapping, and nobody has been touched. So I want that they should review this criteria so that our people too can benefit from this evaluation. I thank you very much, Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for giving me the mic. I am His Majesty Tufam Ayamba Ital, the Mayor of Eyumojok. Your Excellency, welcome to Fako. The people of Manyo would also be happy if you can plan a visit to also see maybe the joint border post at Ekok. It's a very beautiful joint border post, which we want to thank the government for that. But Your Excellency, I have been crying out loud in any place I find myself that a Umojok municipality covering a surface area of 3,442 square kilometers, made up of 65 communities, has not received energy from our national electricity grid for 8 years now. That is not a single village or community, from Kembong to Osin to Umojok to Ekok to Utu, none of them. So it's not easy on the living condition of our people. I'm just wondering, asking myself if it's possible for this, I will even call it a national embarrassment, to be inserted in this presidential plan. If electricity can be considered for the people of the municipality of Umojok, we would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for this meeting. And thank you very much for all the work that is being done in the Northwest and Southwest region. I know that it also has contributed a lot to the involvement that we see in the state of security within the two regions. It is we are getting more and more peace in our area. The objective of this reconstruction plan is for us to bring back life within our communities. One question I have is that what is the way forward? You took some projects. I saw it I will look at some of them as pilot. I will look at some of them. So what is the way forward now to get into other areas, so that the aspect of peace can be consolidated? Another big challenge we have in our region is the road aspect, which I think merits a close strategy. They are secondary roads are going to hinterlands, so that which will, if we don't look at it very closely, it will not help us more to work on the affected areas which are in the rural area, because a lot of rural areas are affected and also need reconstruction. If we don't get a strategy to get to those areas, it's going to be a challenge to be able to implement the reconstruction plan. I'm happy about the Ikondo Titi road that is mentioned by Ikondo Titi road. My appeal is that the road should move faster than it is. It has been there for a while, and the road is still around Meme. So it will be a very good thing for us if that road can move forward and help us, so that we can be able to carry out our activities better and be able to make sure that the reconstruction plan of the president gets into all the areas that it's supposed to get to. Let me end here. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for recognizing my person. I am Honorable Dr. Fonge from Kupe Maninguba, specifically Nguti. In fact, let me start by congratulating the Minister for the wonderful presentation. I just want to find out, because this has been the worry of my people each time they hear that the reconstruction work is ongoing. But so far, they have not been feeling it, particularly in the hinterlands. And specifically, I want to talk about the case of Babobok. All of us, we know what happened to Babobok and to Mungondo. I want to say that relative peace is now obtainable in the place, and the accessibility to these two localities is now okay, particularly with the construction work going on in the Nguti Bangem road that you just mentioned. So I don't know whether Bababok and Mongondo falls within your view as far as the 2026 program is concerned, or 2025 program is concerned. So I just felt I should use this opportunity to bring the plea of my people, particularly Bababok, as I said, and Mongondo, and to a little extent Njongo, where homes of individuals were actually destroyed. I think they will want to really hear whether something is being done as far as, you know, their problem is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Samuel Funke. Your Excellency, I am so impressed with the presentation, and I think it is very apt and straight to the point. I just want to find out from the Minister and his presentation when he showed how PPRD made disbursements to different divisions within the Southwest and Northwest region. I took note of Bangi Division received the smallest package. I don't know whether in the next phase the packages will change or the same procedure will follow, because it looks as if some divisions have been favored more than others. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the participants who have seized the opportunity to make comments and observations on the report. Before I go in, I'd like to plead with all of us that if everybody has to take the floor, maybe we'll need a week. And to plead that we all understand and accept that those who have taken the floor are speaking for all of us. And to that effect, my reactions, I don't want to call them answers, my reactions to the queries, I will not be specific. I would like you to understand them from a global perspective, because the issues raised are not localized, they are general. In as much as a mayor, a member of parliament has the responsibility to speak for his constituency, the problems that we have go across all political constituencies in the Northwest and the Southwest region. That said, Senator Otte so pertinently raised the issue of zoning, and he thinks we have to evolve. I would like us to leave here, Your Excellency, understanding that we have, of course, evolved, because the crisis has been dynamic. The situation has been changing. When the implementation of the PPRD, when the first projects were implemented in 2021, the PPRD, or the UNDP, I should say, could only access 22 of the 65 administrative units of the two regions. That's in 2021. I think somewhere in my report I mentioned the fact that as of today, the PPRD has footprint in all the administrative units. This is to say we have evolved because the situation on the ground has evolved. even though Senator Otte also rightly said, he used a word that I like very much, the relative. Because I think until a certain time when we should all be able to say, yes, it's over, we can continue to rightly use the word relative peace. Because total peace, I think, without being pessimistic, is not yet on the ground. So I'd like us all to understand that today I may not be able to tell you with certainty how many of the administrative units can be called green. But if at all there are red zones that are less than 10% of all the administrative units in the two regions. And as a matter of fact, pockets of resistance that we continue to see and witness in some of the administrative units indicate that we cannot, because of those small pockets, package the entire administrative units as red. So we're able to have footprints across the two regions. The issue of no energy in Umojok is general. Many of the 13 divisions are cut off from the national energy supply grid. Many. Not even to say that before the crisis, not all the administrative units were connected to the national grid. But today, the few that were connected, many of them are disconnected. It's one of the areas that was very heavily impacted by the crisis. And the Lord Mayor of Umojok, like all other Lord Mayors, you have the report in your hands, which has a breakdown right to the level of municipalities. The details are there. The projects are there. Take your time and look at them. But the important thing, Your Excellency, is keep up alive. We have the challenges. Resources don't come in as fast as we want them to be. But the signals are good that resource mobilization will improve. The security situation improved. There will be no reason not to get to the ultimate objective. Consolidating peace, Honorable Vice President, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, I think is one of the key outputs of the PPRD, especially in its recovery phase. The objective was to contribute as one of the pathways to peace to ensure that the return to peace is fast-tracked in the two regions. And I believe maybe it's quite complicated to say to what percentage has the PPRD contributed to get us to where we are today, but definitely it has to go. The situation of the Kumba-Ikondo-Titi road, it's shared, the speed of the works. It is, we all agree that the works should go faster. We all agree. I think not too long ago I had a discussion with the head of government to that effect. The works should go faster. There's no doubt about that. Getting to all areas, I think I've elaborated on that already. Honorable Dr. Fonge, my friend and brother, I would like to thank you for your appreciation of the presentation. And to also say that the situation in Babubog and Mongondo are not different from the situation in other places. It's exactly the same situation. Let me say, maybe it's a shame that we cannot get to everywhere at the same time. But that does not take away goodwill and the intention of the President of the Republic and his Prime Minister to ensure that every citizen, every nook and cranny of the two regions feels the impact of the PPRD. But that can only be done on time, with time, sorry. The PCC Moderator Emeritus, I I think I preempted your question when I made mention of the fact that the distribution across administrative units cannot be equal for several reasons. The first one is that we're in the reconstruction arrangement, especially in the recovery phase. We're in reconstruction, which means we only go to what was destroyed. That's supposed to be understood. We go to what was destroyed. To some extent, we also go to what was abandoned. Because of the crisis, some public infrastructure like schools, health centers were abandoned, they are run down. We cannot say we won't attend to them because they were not destroyed. But on the criteria which animated the implementation from the outset, we had to go gradually. We had to listen to the situation on the ground. We had to ensure that the criteria which was defined is respected to enable us rehabilitate, reconstruct, recover the two regions without doing harm to the citizens for whose interest the entire exercise is targeting. So I think, Your Excellency, I said it's not answers to questions, it's just a question of improving our understanding with the target having shared understanding of the situation on the ground. And my plea is that the PPRD is a program of hope. And let us look at it from the perspective that it brings hope to the regions, its citizens, and the nation at large, Your Excellency.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister. I just want to complete that by saying that one of the important conditions, especially for some donors, is that their finances or their money is not put in areas that would cause harm, not only to those who are working, but to the citizens. And that is why, for example, the Japanese assistance has been given twice, and the Japanese have insisted that their assistance should only go to FACO division, because in their estimation, that's the only division that has relative peace. If you will show them a project in Meme division, they will say they are not going there because they don't think it is right, the right time to go there. The Chinese have put the entire Northwest and Southwest as red zones, and not a single penny of theirs can go there. So one of the things that we should do is also to work tirelessly to accelerate this re-establishment of peace in these two regions. Thank you. Having said that, can the steering committee, can someone move to approve the report? I want a member to, yes? Who wants to approve? Regional Assembly President, you want to move? Oh, the bishop is there, yes. Bishop Bibi, you have the floor.
I just wish to use the opportunity once more to thank the Minister for the presentation that we have all received. And in my judgment, this presentation shows us that there's hope and that we can accomplish many things as far as this plan is concerned. So I move the report correct, and I pray and I hope that we continue to work together to bring lasting peace to the Northwest and the Southwest regions.
Yes, who seconds that move? Yes, okay, the regional assemblies. Do we adopt it? Yes, we adopt it. Thank you very much.
President of the steering committee, I know you've stood for long. You still have the floor.
Your Excellency, Your Excellency, Your Excellency, honorable members of government, dear members of the steering committee, special invitees, I will be doing the second presentation, which is the draft 2025 annual work plan. Please see a word draft even if you don't see it. It will become an annual work plan only after you approve it. And I would like to announce that I'll be doing it with the coordinator of the PPRD. At one point in the presentation, I will hand over to him. The presentation will unfold in 4 parts. I'll do a quick introduction. Then I will do a stop on the revenue side. On the third part, we'll look at the expenditure. Then we'll share with you the breakdown of the planned projects per division. Again, you have the annual work plan in your files, where the breakdown actually goes all the way to the councils or to the subdivisions, if you may. In terms of introduction, I'd like to situate this 2025 annual work plan in a legal context. Standardly, annual work plans bring out revenue and expenditure for the year. But important to say, following the order of the supervisor of the PPRD, who is the Prime Minister Head of Government, of the 30th of July 2024, the steering committee, who you are, is responsible for reviewing and approving the annual work plan and the budget of the plan. So we'll do the same exercise after the presentation, discussions, and approval, if you may. Still on the legal basis, before 2022, the PPRD was working like an off-budget instrument. But from the 2023 financial year, a special appropriation account has been opened in the Treasury for the financing of the reconstruction of the 3 regions in the country which are considered as economically stricken, which are the Far North, the Northwest, and the Southwest. So it's important to get this legal background of the way the finances of the PPRD are structured and attached to the state budget, especially beginning this year, 2025. Special appropriation account comes with its own challenges. But I am also glad, and I wish to Your Excellency Prime Minister, Head of Government, on your behalf, give very special thanks to the Minister of Finance and his team of collaborators for understanding what is at stake, standing by us, listening to us, and seeking common understanding and common ground on how to implement the reconstruction of not only the 2 regions, but the Far North region as well, under this special dispensation, which is called Special Appropriation Account. It has advantages, but it also has several constraints. It's not time for that. But the objective of the Special Appropriation Account is to capture income irrespective of its source. That is to say, all the sources of income for the PPRD are brought into one basket, which is called the Special Appropriation Account, and it features in the state budget. Doing it this way ensures better monitoring of the mobilized resources. Even more particularly, it guarantees transparency and accountability according to internationally accepted standards of good practices when it comes to public financial management. When you bring it to the state budget, it is easier for our elected representatives to see in the state budget, and of course, in settlement finance bills, what has been done, and to ask the right questions as to where we are going. So, the finance bill of 2025 has an amount of 25 billion and 68,818,754 francs tagged as a component of the Special Appropriation Account directed for the Northwest and the Southwest regions. Of course, as I said, we are all in the same pool with the Far North, so the rest of that as Special Appropriation Account is for the Far North region. The 25 billion in question is therefore broken down according to the source of funding. So I evolved therefore to the income side, and this is the source of funding that builds this package of 25 billion. State-owned resources stand in there at 14 billion, which is about 58% of the package for the Northwest and the Southwest. The component of the Islamic Development Bank loan, which is estimated to be executed in 2025, stands at 8.6 billion, but 34% of the package. The Japan grant, number 3, the third Japanese grant, they've done 1 and 2. The third one is 2 billion. All of this is in the state budget for 2025. Expenditure-wise, this is the breakdown per component. Remember, we are in the recovery phase. All of this is the recovery phase. The recovery phase has 3 pillars: social cohesion, which we are trying to tone down as the crisis evolves. We benefit 704 million, which is 3%. The rehabilitation of basic infrastructure takes the lion's share, 19.2 billion thereabout, which is 77%. And the revitalization of the local economy, close to 3 billion, which is 12%. About 9% of these resources are allocated for governance, which is recurrent expenses, a couple of studies that have to be carried out, and what have you. All of that give us a total of 25 billion 068 million 818,754 francs CFA. That expenditure broken down per region, we have the Northwest targeting 10.6 billion, about 48%. The Southwest, 11.4 billion, about 52%. Of course, I think the reason for the discrepancy from 25 billion to 22 billion is simply due to the fact that we didn't bring in the entire package of the breakdown, leaving out the recurrent expenses, because the interest is the projects. We want to show more attention to the project. But in the file that you have, all the details are there. However, there are a few cross-cutting issues which already constitute part of that 2 billion or so for recurrent expenses, which I said we call them cross-cutting issues, most of them studies and what have you. It's virtually impossible to run this thing without continuously updating databases and assessing the road worked so far. We have to continuously be able to know where we are going to. So the planned projects per sector for 2025, as you have there, we just have them in numbers. In the activity report, as you saw, we were at 99 schools. But for 2025 alone, we are going to scale up to 66 schools. And all the resources for those schools have been devolved to regional and local authorities, be they the regional assembly, the municipalities. We try to follow the laws of the state and the level of competencies. Anything that is secondary education, regional assemblies. Anything that is basic education, municipalities, mayors, and so on and so forth. So we try to follow the level of competencies devolved as provided by the constitution of the state. So you have it broken down there. Do I really need to stop on any particular one? I don't really think so. But if I could make a comment, I would say that the discrepancy between the two regions stems from the statement of His Excellency the Prime Minister, Head of Government. You saw the Japanese funding of 2 billion. It comes with conditions. They say we want to be sure that the projects that our resources fund obey certain criteria. So they actually say, yes, we want to, but it has to go this way and so on. So that's one of the reasons why you have the discrepancy between the Northwest and the Southwest. There you have, if you see 10 solar ovens, mostly these ovens are for the drying of cocoa, and it's normal that you will find them in the Southwest. And also important to note that we don't sit in our office in Yaoundé to decide what to form. This is very important. I said we have a database. We've gone through to actually identify what was destroyed. And I should say we took a kind of a risk, because we asked the victims of the crisis, who today are supposed to be the beneficiaries of the crisis, to stand up and be counted. It was a serious risk. It was a serious risk because the citizens could refuse to stand up and be counted. And this was done when the crisis was at its worst. Yet, citizens came up, identified themselves, and said, I lost this, I lost that, I lost that. So we have that database from which we extract the project. Secondly, we are not operating in a vacuum. We are operating in a structured environment. There is a challenge of maturing projects. It's a challenge that we cannot overlook. For us to reach out to funding partners, the projects must be well packaged, without which it will be a walk in the dark. To insert in the state budget, the projects have to be matured. So I will actually encourage regional and local authorities, mayors. To a large extent, you know more than us what is happening in your localities. Coming here and saying you have forgotten locality XYZ is good enough. But it will be better if you take upon yourself, even with your own resources, to mature the project and send to us. It will go a long way to facilitate the work that we are all doing, because we have to look at the same direction. We have to have a common vision, and we have to work together to make this happen. So I will encourage you, mayors, to understand that there are resources somewhere. Play your role, and we'll play ours. It's better if we are in this together, looking in the same direction. I would rather we have more projects matured and no resources than to have resources sometimes and face the challenge of picking from a pool of projects which are matured. Yes, the last part of this presentation is projected expenditures and main outputs per division. I would like to invite the coordinator to run us through this last part. Mr. Tamanjong, please.
Mr. Prime Minister, I think I beg your indulgence to stand on our protocol since my boss has already done that. We're going to look into the projected expenditures, which is actually what the steering committee is supposed to approve. Some of these activities, proactively, we have started doing the preliminary works, hoping that we shall have your consent to continue with the execution. So here we have people, we have given the activities according to the different divisions. In the Northwest, we have Boyo, and we can find the number of schools, health centers, water supply systems, electrical networks, roads, and community infrastructure. This is giving us an amount of about 1.2 billion CFA. I want to mention in this presentation some of the concerns which were raised. You would notice that they are being taken into in this 2025 budget, work plan and budget, because those were instructions which were given by the Prime Minister, head of government, that we try to do what we call spatial equity. Those who had more, FACO, MESAM, I'm not trying to make people who are from FACO or MESAM feel bad, might notice that we are giving more of the projects to the areas which didn't have as many projects as before. So we have the other projects. We have Doga Mantum, having, we can see the schools and infrastructure debris as well. Menchum, and you can see that basically from the hand that was going up so far up and the one which was so low, take for example the Southwest, FACO up there and Manu almost right down there, you can see from this distribution in the Northwest that that difference is not as enormous as it was before, when most of the places were very hot and red and the SGOs were on our backs. That this is our information that are coming. We wish to also reassure the administrative heads and the municipal heads that the information they are sending and the projects they are sending, the president of the steering committee has given us instructions to ensure that we start looking for elements of maturity, so that in the nearest future, as much as we have donors willing to work, they have projects which are matured. I'm sure you just mentioned that recently. And then we go to MESAM. We have 8 schools, 3 water supply systems, 3 roads, amount 1.2 billion about. We go to Gokontuja, Momo, 1.9 billion. And you can see where Momo was before. If you looked at that data before, it was relatively lower than the other areas. So just to talk about the Prime Minister's directives of partial equity as we go forward. And then we go to Kokotunjia, which is 1.7 billion about. And you can see the infrastructure projects which are there. The emphasis actually, the President of the Steering Committee and his college of members of the committee have directed us to place emphasis in this phase on infrastructure because we have to show things which are physical to make people know that the PPRD is actually there to do things instead of saying things which wouldn't be seen. I know this doesn't play very well into those to the advocates of social cohesion who argue that without social cohesion, building the mines, we can't have the peace that we need to do the reconstruction. But we've noticed from our experience that 63% of the projects being sent from the municipalities are actually infrastructure projects. In the southwest, FACO, we have the projects there, 1.1 billion. Upemanenguba, 1.3 billion. Lebialem, 2.4 billion. Manu, 2.2 billion. I hope it's getting better. Meme, 2.4 billion. Dian, 2.1 billion. So we can see all the different projects which are earmarked. In the documents which you have the details in terms of the locations of these projects. Now we have given an example here of a division in terms of the location of projects, so that it is not like we don't know exactly where these projects are going to be. So if we go into our documents, we are going to find those locations in there. And this is the example of Boyo, because it was the first name in terms of alphabetical orders. It's not actually chosen because we love Boyo more than other divisions. We have rehabilitating electric poles and transformers in Meli, Mbisi. That's about 192 million francs. We have 12,000 women, 23 youths, and 14,000 internally displaced persons and lost documents being worked with on. All that amounts to about 80 million francs. We have rehabilitating the road from Fonfuka to Kunene for 75 million francs, rehabilitating of the Yanjong water supply project, which is about 57 million, rehabilitating and equipping the integrated health center in Kunkwini, over 90 million francs, rehabilitating and equipping GS Chuku. I don't want to spoil the names of people's villages in Ginicom, so I'll just read in Ginicom, and that's over 80 million francs. And we are having also rehabilitating and equipping GS Bianga in Ginicom again for 80 million francs. So this is basically in the documents you can really see where those projects are going to be found and the municipalities concerned. The President of the Steering Committee has already explained the level of competencies for which the different local implementing partners are helping us to execute these projects. I think we've come to the end of that presentation that complements that of my boss. I can tell you, Mr. Prime Minister, Head of Government, it's very difficult to speak after your boss has spoken. So if I tell you that my throat is dry, believe me, thank you so much.
Yes, the President of the Northwest Regional Assembly. Yes, Prime Minister of Government, and Prime Minister. establish protocol from the presentation of the work plan, the income, the expenditure framework, the projects spaced out all over the two regions. I will humbly suggest that the steering committee approves and validates what that has been presented.
Thank you. Anybody seconds that? Yes. Yes, the UNDP. Yeah, would like to. Yes, the UNDP would like to say something.
Before I second, Your Excellency, can I say a couple of words?
Please do. And before you do, please give the representative of UNDP a hand of applause, because he spent a very short time with us, but has impacted enormously on this scheme, and he's leaving us in the coming days. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much for the recognition, sir. I wanted first to assure my brother, Minister Tasson, that the presentation was indeed exhaustive and not the least boring. So, having said that, there were two aspects I wanted to make a couple of comments on. In a preliminary fashion, as UNDP, we have been privileged to stand with you, with the government, in implementing the PPRD recovery aspects. It will always be a flagship of ours, and we will be forever grateful that you had the confidence in us to make us participate with you. The 2 points I wanted to highlight from your speech that is pertinent to us. One is that in the next phase, you want to expand the range of implementing partners. And you want to focus especially on local entities. We are totally in agreement with this approach because it is consistent and coherent with our philosophy as a development institution and our approach. I think the Prime Minister has done me the honor of meeting me a couple of times. I've met a few ministers, and I think one of the mantras that people must be probably fed up with me for repeating all the time is the importance of decentralization to develop the nation. Decentralization needs a core. And I think when we give resources through this project, we beef up the core of the decentralization process. So we are totally in agreement with this approach, and whatever we can do to support it in the next phase, you can count on us, you can call on us, we will be there with you. The second point you made is about the step change that this project is going to live through. We are moving from recovery to reconstruction and development. That is a significant change, both in terms of ambition, vision, and even resources. We have been lucky and privileged, like I said, to be working with you on the recovery phase. We would like to assure you that we support your vision of moving to this next level. And whatever we can do to be part of the process, we will. You can count on us. UNDP can be, our process can be seen
like an accordion. You can stretch it, you can bring it together, but the integrity of the instrument remains. Just the same as we adjusted our processes to be able to accompany you in the first phase. We will be there with you if you do want us. One thing that UNDP has, and the entire UN, by the way, is that we have networks. We have networks across the country, across the nation, across the region, across the world. If there is a problem or an issue that you encounter in one commune or one municipality elsewhere, trust me, we can probably find an example in somewhere in Bolivia or Fiji or Kazakhstan or whatever. We can bring that information here and help to resolve the problems here. So we are available and we are grateful for you for having been with us. Having said that, I fully endorse and second the steering committee report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So do we adopt the report? Yes, we do. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, with your permission, I want to recognize the presence of some other distinguished participants. The names were inadvertently omitted. I'm talking about the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly, who is here present. We have the senior divisional officers of the Southwest region, they are all present. And the coordinator of the presidential plan for the Far North region. That said, Your Excellency, we now take another important item on our agenda, which is the signing of the tripartite agreement between Boisson du Cameroun, that's former Brassaris, the Kumba City Council, and the PPRD for the construction of a stadium in Kumba. So I have the honor to invite the signatories to proceed with the signing.
En ce moment, toujours au cours de cette sixième session, la signature d'un partenariat assez stratégique, justement, Peter Saucier, entre le ministre Paul Tasson.
We are witnessing the signing of an agreement between the Kumba City Council, led there by the City Mayor Greg Merano. We do have the company Boisson du Cameroun, led by its general manager, and of course Paul Tasson, who is president of the steering committee in charge of the presidential plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions. And the aim of this agreement will be for the construction of a stadium in Kumba.
La construction d'un stade dans la ville de Kumba Kumba qui est particulièrement aussi subi la crise anglophone. Ce partenariat est des plus stratégiques, surtout avec le partenaire japonais, qui est très ancré dans ce processus de reconstruction du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest du Cameroun. Déjà dans le développement, vous l'avez remarqué, en termes de partenaires privilégiés, on a le Japon, on a la Banque islamique de développement, on a le PNUD, on a l'Agence française de développement, on a l'Union européenne, des partenaires privés sur le plan local. Et il faut préciser que l'État, dans certains projets, agit en fonds propres. Peter.
That tells you the determination and commitment the state is putting into see to it that the plan becomes a reality. We heard there from the President of the Steering Committee highlighting the draft 2025 action plan, where you saw the several projects that have been earmarked as the plan now moves from recovery now to construction and development in the two regions, the Northwest and Southwest regions. But you are watching now the signature of a memorandum of understanding between the Kumba City Council, the company Boisson du Cameroun, and the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. The aim of the MOU concerns the construction of a stadium in Kumba. Kumba, like you said, is the biggest city in the Southwest region, is the economic and nerve center of the region. A city that has also felt its own parts of the crisis, but has had the steam and nerve to rise up again. And this is just an example to tell you how the reconstruction is effective.
Peter, justement, pour rectifier et rattraper l'information pour nos téléspectateurs francophones, cet accord, ce partenariat qui est signé entre la mairie de Kumba, dans le sud-ouest de Cameroun, et les brasseries du Cameroun, pas le Japon, parce que c'est une grosse omission, mais il faut préciser que les brasseries du Cameroun sont aussi des partenaires stratégiques pour la réalisation de ce plan de reconstruction ici dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest. Et il faut préciser qu'il y a aussi l'extrême nord qui bénéficie de ce statut particulier. Et cet accord rentre en droite ligne dans le plan prévu pour cette année 2025.
Boisson du Cameroun, that has been a very effective and instrumental partner to the presidential plan. Already 500 million has been set, and the signatures are complete now.
L'accord est signé, brasserie du Cameroun.
And now we are going to have the exchange of the final documents.
L'État du Cameroun, représenté ici par le ministre Paul Tasson, qui agit en tant que président du comité chargé de piloter justement ce plan de reconstruction du Nord-Ouest. Accord qui va être remis à photo de famille avec le Premier ministre ici. Et donc Peter Saucier, pour le dire en bon camerounais, le chef de gouvernement qui est les yeux et les oreilles du président de la République Paul Biya pour ce moment capital dans la mise en œuvre de ce plan présidentiel de reconstruction et de développement du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest de Cameroun.
And the various actors joined the Prime Minister there for the photo shoot, which of course sees the Prime Minister, head of government, discussing there with a representative of Boisson du Cameroun. And after the
le représentant des brasseries du Cameroun qui va prendre la parole et on va permettre aux téléspectateurs de suivre.
Yeah.
Mr. Prime Minister, Head of Government, distinguished members of the government, Mr. Minister, National Chairman of the Steering Committee of the PPRD, Mr. President of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism, Vice Presidents of the Senate and the National Assembly, Excellencies, Heads of Diplomatic Missions, Resident Representatives of UNDP, governors of the Northwest and Southwest regions, President of the Regional Councils of the Northwest and Southwest, Director Generals, Directors of Public Administration, Honorable Members of Parliament, Your Majesties, Honorable Traditional Authorities, religious leaders, representatives of civil society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On May 18, 2021 in Douala, we took a commitment in the presence of the Prime Minister, head of the government, to contribute 1 billion CFA francs to the reconstruction and development plan for the Northwest and Southwest region, despite a challenging and constrained environment. Following phase 1, backed by a financial agreement of 500 million CFA francs with the UNDP, we are here today to complete the second and final phase of this commitment with a contribution of 500 million CFA francs for the construction of a football stadium in the city of Kumba. The Anglophone part of Cameroon plays a key role in the national economy, and we believe it is important for Boissons du Cameroun to support the government's efforts to achieve the main objective of the PPRD aimed at reviving socio-economic activities in these affected crisis regions. The construction of a stadium in Kumba is therefore a civic initiative fully aligned with our RSC approach. Sports in general is a driver of social cohesion, and football in particular, represented by one of our iconic brands in Boissons du Cameroun, makes us the designated and natural partner for this magnificent project. In order to help restore normalcy and ensure economic and social stability in those regions, Boissons du Cameroun is taking action to support communities, but not only in the fields of sports, also in the fields of education, culture, health, and environment. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Dion Gute, I am forced to go down a little bit following the... this is it. I was going to make it very short if I had to continue in that old system. I would ask you, Your Excellency, to permit me stand on the same protocol that has been established. I am extremely happy and privileged to stand here today, even though not informed that I was going to make a speech. That's why I'm so happy that I have been given this opportunity. Your Excellency, I come with greetings of all the population of Kumba. It's hard to believe how happy the people of Kumba are today for this historic event which is happening for the first football playground that is going to have a grandstand for people of Kumba to sit and watch football. A city that loves football like every other Cameroonian city in a very special way. I want to extend our gratitude to SABC for giving us this opportunity, but most especially for this turn of policy that the PPRD can work directly
directly with mayors on the ground that can always express the actual problems that are actually existing in our respective localities. I want to take a pledge, Your Excellency, here, assuring not only SABC, but most especially you representing the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, that with Kumba being the green city, in the green zone already, we are going to do everything in our might to make sure that this project is executed in the shortest possible time for the Kumba children to be able to play football on a proper football field and the population sitting, applauding football being played, at the grandstand. This project is going to be paid not far from Le Boisson de Cameroon's main center in Kumba at Fiango, where the majority of players that have come from the Anglophone area playing football at the national level in Cameroon actually do come from. Where we have low-income earners and where, as we know, football, is played usually by children coming from parents who are not, the richest. This is why we allocated this project actually to this area to go further, to act, bring in peace and tranquility, and give the children in this area the opportunity, of course, to continue playing football, like the Tato Eta Stephen, the Deep Aken Victor, the Tabi Daras, just to name a few. So I want to close up by thanking you, Your Excellency, the PPRD coordinator, and all of those who played a great role in this fusion of the contract. And I give you the thanks of the people of Kumba. Thank you for your kind attention.
Greg Mewane, le maire de la ville de Kumba, qui remercie donc les boissons du Cameroun avec ce partenariat qui vient d'être signé pour la construction de ce stade dans le sud-ouest Cameroun, notamment dans la ville de Kumba. Comme vous pouvez le voir en image, le Premier ministre Chief Dr Joseph Diongouté va donner son allocution dans quelques minutes seulement, une allocution très attendue ici qui est en réalité un peu comme un kick-off de ce plan 2025 pour les réalisations des projets prioritaires ici, comme vous avez pu le réaliser, et définis, déterminés par les collectivités territoriales décentralisées sur la base de données et de collectes effectuées sur le terrain. Donc, vous vivez en image dans quelques minutes seulement cette allocution-là. Peter Saucier.
We heard there from the city mayor of Kumba.
Your Excellencies, esteemed participants,
the city mayor of Kumba.
I now have the privilege and singular honor to hand the floor to His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, for his concluding remarks.
The Prime Minister there to deliver his concluding remarks. Let's have a listen.
Before I make my statement or closing remarks, let me first of all thank the people of Bako, the people of the Southwest, and the people of the Northwest and the littoral for the wonderful reception I received yesterday. From the Mungo to Tiko to Mutengene to class quarters, and of course here in Buea. Thank you very much indeed, Your Royal Highnesses, for turning out so massively to receive me, all the elites, all the administrators, Mr. Governor. You did a wonderful job. Thank you very much indeed. Distinguished members of government, the President of the Steering Committee of the PPRD for the Northwest and Southwest regions, Vice Presidents of the Senate and the National Assembly, Excellencies, Heads of Diplomatic Missions, the resident representative of the United Nations Development Program, the governors of the Northwest and Southwest regions, presidents of the Northwest and Southwest regional assemblies, the president of JCAM, APECAM, general managers, directors of public administrations, coordinators here present, senior divisional officers here present, honorable members of parliament, Lord Mayors, Your Majesties, the traditional rulers, religious authorities, representatives of civil societies, members of the press, dear collaborators, ladies and gentlemen. It is a singular pleasure for me to take the floor this day in the historic city of Buea on the occasion of the 6th session of the Steering Committee of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Let me begin by thanking the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, who has authorized me to come to Buea to take part in this session. In responding favorably to a resolution of the major national dialogue, the head of state decided to reconstruct the 2 English-speaking regions in April 2020. I therefore seize this special opportunity to extend my respectful thanks to the head of state, President of the Republic, for his eponymous plan, which demonstrates his attention to the plight of the population of both regions and their well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot continue my speech without thanking all of you for your massive presence here in response to the invitation of the President of the PPRD Steering Committee. Despite your busy schedules and other constraints, your exceptional mobilization reflects, on the one hand, your adherence to the ideals of peace and national unity advocated by the head of state, and on the other hand, your desire to work for the socio-economic recovery, reconstruction, and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. My special gratitude also goes to the President of the PPRD Steering Committee, Minister Paul Tasson, for organizing this particular session. Minister Tasson has been at the core of this plan since its inception and has played a crucial role in the achievements recorded so far. At this juncture, I would like to thank the Governor of the Southwest region and his collaborators for the work they are doing in the field and for the arrangements they have made to facilitate our stay in Buea, as well as that of the delegation I lead. In the same vein, I would like to express my thanks to the President of the Southwest Regional Executive of Southwest Regional Assembly for his kind words addressed to me and to the team accompanying me. Finally, special thanks go to the vital forces and populations of the Northwest and Southwest regions for their resilience and their multifaceted support for the PPRD and since its launching. Members of government, Excellency heads of diplomatic missions, governors of the 2 regions, regional and local authorities, representatives, members of parliament, traditional and religious authorities, ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters. In order to resolve the problems that undermine living together in the country and aware of the suffering of the populations, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, has taken a series of measures to bring back peace, the most emblematic of which is the convening of the major national dialogue. Under my chairmanship, the participants of in this historic meeting proposed among the key recommendations the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. On the basis of the goodwill expressed by the entire national community, the government developed a presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Approved by the head of state, the plan aims to restore and improve the living conditions of the populations impacted by the crisis. It also aims to make up for the delay in growth and development of these 2 regions by
by putting them back on track. In this regard, the presidential plan is an instrument at the service of peace, similar to other government initiatives undertaken since the outbreak of this crisis. Since the 3rd of April 2020, this plan has been implemented by the national authorities with the support of the United Nations Development Programme for the recovery phase and the financial backing of several national and international partners. This is an opportunity for me to, first of all, thank the UNDP. The United Nations Agency has supported the government from the very beginning, when it was time to prove the concept in a very difficult context. Over the past 5 years, the UNDP's experience and reputation have contributed to achieving encouraging results and attracting other international partners such as Japan and the Islamic Development Bank. In 2025, Japan will make its third contribution to the PPRD, totaling approximately 5 billion CFA. This financial support, which is renewed year after year, is an invaluable mark of solidarity that is greatly appreciated by the Cameroonian authorities and the Cameroonian people. As for the Islamic Development Bank, its contribution of 21 billion CFA francs is the largest to date. This significant contribution is helping to improve the living conditions of the population and accelerate the implementation of the PPRD's recovery phase. I avail myself of this opportunity to express the deep gratitude of the government and of the Cameroonian people in general and the populations of the Northwest and Southwest regions, in particular to Japan and the Islamic Development Bank for standing shoulder to shoulder with us. The authorities also express and extend their gratitude to the Société Anonyme des Boissons du Cameroun, to Groupement des Industries Minières du Cameroun, and to the Association of Credit Professionals of Cameroon, each of whom financed recovery projects. We just witnessed the signing of an MOU for the construction of a stadium in Kumba. This series of thanks would not be complete without a special mention to the French government, the Italian government, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and other partners and friendly countries that continue to work towards the restoration of peace in both regions through the financing of reconstruction and development projects. All these friendly countries and organizations have proven beyond reasonable doubt that a friend in need is a friend indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters, thanks to the joint efforts made on both the socioeconomic fronts with regard to the PPRD and the security front, peace is gradually returning to both regions. This peace, still fragile but very present, is the work of the President of the Republic, who through his policy of reaching out has always favored dialogue, which nevertheless remains framed by the requirements to preserve Cameroon's national unity and territorial integrity. In accordance with the high instructions of the head of state, the government under my supervision has consistently addressed the legitimate concerns expressed by the populations of the English-speaking regions. Before, during, and after the major national dialogue, numerous concrete measures were taken. Although there is still work to be done, the actions taken by the government demonstrate the willingness of authorities to respond to the aspirations of Cameroonian citizens in general and those of our two regions in particular. Like I was saying, life is gradually returning to normal in the towns and villages of the Northwest and Southwest regions, with the unwavering support of the population and other stakeholders, including countries friendly to Cameroon. In this process, the PPRD has a key role to play. While congratulating the PPRD team for the achievements of the first 5 years, in the unstable context we know, they are called upon to do more due to the ever-increasing needs of the population. For this reason, the state will continue to make significant financial contributions, but above all, implementation must now be carried out
with and by the beneficiaries. Distinguished members of government, ladies and gentlemen, since the 30th of July 2024, the PPRD has entered a new era, that of total stakeholders as local stakeholders as implementing partners of the plan. Indeed, while in the past the plan was implemented exclusively by UNDP, it will now be primarily implemented by regional and local authorities, development missions and programs, devolved state services, and other local actors. This decentralization and devolution aim to strengthen efficiency and inclusiveness in the selection, development, contracting, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the PPRD projects. Faced with the growing needs of the population, the objective is to increase the number of implementing partners in order to expand the plan's interventions. Particularly, it is hoped that the ownership of the projects by the beneficiaries through their representatives will ensure better use and enhance protection. As part of the implementation of the special status of the Northwest and Southwest regions, the ambition is also to bring the PPRD closer to citizens while strengthening the operational capacities of local stakeholders responsible for ensuring the sustainability of the rehabilitated infrastructure. Administrative authorities, presidents of regional executive councils, presidents of the assemblies of the Northwest and Southwest regions, mayors, general managers of Middle North, Soweto, and others, given the central role now assigned to you, you are called upon to take this important challenge. Indeed, following the encouraging results achieved by the UNDP, expectations are high for the new implementing partners that you are. Ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters, the ceremony bringing us together here today is the 6th session of the steering committee of the PPRD of the Northwest and Southwest regions. During the meeting, a review of progress made since 2020 has been conducted. And we have also seen about the projects planned for 2025. Finally, we have witnessed the signing of an agreement for the construction of a stadium in Kumba, funded by Société Anonyme de Boissons du Cameroun, to whom I express the thanks of the government and the people of Kumba. Following the example of the SABC, I once again call on Cameroon's financial partners to support the recovery of the Northwest and Southwest regions, despite, I am aware of this, the difficult national and international economic context. For its part, the government will continue to support the socio-economic recovery efforts of these two regions, and of course of the Far North region, so that they can return to the path of growth and emergence. While bringing this statement to a close, I invite the coordinating team to build capacity on all potential regional and local implementing partners for the pursuit of recovery efforts and to expedite the maturation of projects and the search for funding to the reconstruction and development phases. That said, I declare closed the 6th session of the steering committee of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Long live the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Long live Cameroon and its illustrious leader, His Excellency Paul Biya, President of the Republic, and I thank you for your very kind attention.
A very inspiring speech from the Prime Minister, Head of Government, giving a succinct evaluation of the plan, but also encouraging all the various partners to double up their efforts to see to it that government's vision, as far as the plan is concerned, becomes a reality.
Justement, Peter Saucier, on retient aussi un autre aspect majeur ici relevé par le Premier ministre, la volonté des autorités camerounaises à rapprocher, à jouer la carte de la proximité. Le plan présidentiel doit être le reflet des priorités des populations. Pour 2025, c'est fait, c'est lancé. Le plan de reconstruction et de développement du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest Cameroun est enclenché pour cette année et les projets sont pour pour certains, si on prend notamment les écoles, pour cette seule année 2025, le plan va permettre la reconstruction de 66 écoles pour les deux régions, le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest. On n'oublie pas l'amélioration de l'accès à l'eau potable ainsi que l'électrification rurale. On n'oublie pas l'aspect de la réhabilitation de plusieurs routes et on l'a relevé aussi tout au long des échanges et des présentations que certaines localités plus enclavées sont restées un peu en marge de la matérialisation de ce plan présidentiel. Pas parce que c'est un oubli, mais parce que les maires doivent jouer leur partition. Les conseillers municipaux doivent jouer leur partition. Les leaders communautaires, notamment, même le clergé, doit participer justement en tant qu'acteur, les gardiens des traditions. Question d'accompagner le comité qui est sur le terrain pour jouer, pour mieux apprécier les priorités, surtout dans ces zones-là où l'accès parfois n'est pas chose évidente.
Et call there to local authorities, regional councillors, city mayors, municipal authorities to be part and appropriate the presidential plan as the plan now moves from recovery to full-scale development and construction efforts across the northwest and southwest regions. As we heard from the Prime Minister, head of government, all the 65 administrative units across the two regions were covered by the presidential plan for the reconstruction of the northwest and southwest regions, and he took out time to hail the contribution of the United Nations Development Programme, which has been the
Depuis le début, accompagne justement le comité dans la matérialisation de ce plan présidentiel de reconstruction et de développement du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest de Cameroun.
The UNDP there has been praised for being a formidable and faithful partner in Cameroon's drive to restore normalcy to the two regions. But the head of government, as we heard, has challenged all the various actors across the board to appropriate the plan and ensure that they meet the aspirations of the population, because when we are talking about reconstruction, we are talking about the people.
I wish to recognize the presence of the two public independent coordinators for Northwest and Southwest regions. That said, Your Excellencies, we shall take the last three items on our agenda in the following sequence. We shall immortalize the event with a group photo. The protocol will conduct distinguished participants to the ground. Thereafter, we shall proceed to the hall for lunch in this same hotel. And the very last item will be the visit of two PPRD projects to be guided by His Excellency, the Governor of the Southwest region. And to accompany His Excellency the Prime Minister, we'll have the Governor himself, the two governors, the local authorities, and those who can't make it and accompany His Excellency the Prime Minister. And the members of government, obviously. The protocol, I invite you to take over and conduct distinguished participants for the first item, the group photo. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Passons dans une étape cruciale, l'immortalisation de ce moment capital pour le lancement du plan de reconstruction et de développement du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest de Cameroun pour 2025. La photo de famille qui sera autour du Premier ministre, chef du gouvernement. On aura les autres membres du gouvernement autour du Premier ministre. On aura les autorités locales et le ministre Joseph Dion-Côté qui va regagner l'extérieur justement pour cette photo de famille. Premier ministre, en tant que CAC, nous l'avons appris hier, chef des chefs ne peut quitter sans un mot aux autorités traditionnelles et gardiens des traditions ici dans le sud-ouest Cameroun. Vous l'avez aussi remarqué à l'entame de son propos, il n'a pas manqué de remercier ces autorités-là, ces gardiens des traditions, pour l'accueil réservé à son arrivée la veille dans le sud-ouest Cameroun. Vous vivez en direct sur Dash TV, mesdames, messieurs. Le lancement de l'édition 2025. Le lancement de l'édition 2025 du plan présidentiel de reconstruction et de développement du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest Cameroun.
25 billion francs CFA earmarked from the Special Appropriation Fund for the Northwest and Southwest regions. That is one of the biggest stories coming out from the meetings here at the Boya Mountain Hotel. Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote, who has called on all the various actors to see to it that the various projects are realized. And we heard from the chairman or the president of the steering committee, who is Paul Tasson. Paul Tasson highlighted there that it is very important for the mayors and municipal authorities to ensure that they prepare projects and get the projects mature so that whenever the financing comes in, those projects will be realized.
Que les financements trouvent des projets déjà peaufinés, bien structurés. Question justement de faciliter la mise en œuvre d'un financement, quel que soit le bailleur de fonds. Et il faut préciser, Peter Associé, on a remarqué l'engouement justement des bailleurs de fonds dans l'accompagnement de ce processus, et le Premier ministre, tout comme le président du comité de pilotage de ce plan présidentiel, le ministre Paul Tasson, l'ont souligné, l'engouement des bailleurs de fonds dans l'accompagnement de ce processus-là. Un plan finalement très stratégique pour ces deux régions qui ont subi les affres de la crise anglophone.
One aspect that we observed here was the attention which the Prime Minister, head of government, paid to issues raised by the stakeholders. We saw Senator Ote Andrew bringing out the problem of zoning, highlighting that Meme division and Jan division it's no more like in the past. We also saw other elites and vital forces giving their concerns, the mayor of Yumojok highlighting his concerns, and the Prime Minister was very attentive to listen to these concerns and then give the floor for the President of the Steering Committee, who is Paul Tasson, to answer them. And Paul Tasson made everyone realize the project is not a project of municipality.
Peter Soucier, nous accueillons le directeur de l'information Christian Debo, avec qui nous avons vécu, où nous vivons depuis hier, ce moment capital pour le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest Cameroun, le lancement de ce plan présidentiel pour l'édition 2025. C'est plus de 25 millions mobilisés pour cette seule année, avec une multiplication des projets prioritaires pour l'amélioration des conditions de vie des populations.
Oui, Adrien, il faut surtout dire, lorsqu'on vous a écouté de façon assez magistrale faire le rendu de ce qui était déjà dit ici, et en abordant l'enveloppe, ou alors l'étendue, au-delà même de l'enveloppe, de ces montants que vous évoquez, l'étendue des projets dans la continuité de ce qui est, il faut le dire, un processus dans ce plan présidentiel de reconstruction et de développement des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Il faut surtout dire, après l'allocution du Premier ministre, après les brillantes présentations du ministre Paul Tasson, il y a eu des interrogations parce qu'il ne faut pas que les uns et les autres s'imaginent que ça a été un adoubement. On a vu des élus locaux, des représentants poser des questions, donner leurs préoccupations et attirer l'attention sur un ou deux cas qu'ils aimeraient voir être intégrés dans cette présentation. Et ça, c'est surtout un des volets de cette démarche du Premier ministre qui consiste à venir à l'écoute encore des populations. Parce que ce n'est pas un plan qui a arrêté. Il y a l'idée présidentielle implémentée et suivie, supervisée par le Premier ministre. Et la meilleure manière de pouvoir appliquer cela demande à ce que les populations soient écoutées. Et on l'a vu ici. L'autre aspect qui est peut-être un des aspects les plus importants et que le Premier ministre a relevé, c'est la condition sine qua non de paix. Parce qu'il y a des partenaires qui interviennent, qui apportent leur soutien financier matériel.
Notamment comme les boissons du Cameroun, dont on a vu la signature de partenariat avec la commune de Kumba. Oui.
Et au-delà, il y a des partenaires internationaux qui injectent des fonds, le Japon, la Chine, et qui, pour la plupart de ces partenaires, ont quelques conditions, tout au moins louables, la paix. Et le Premier ministre a insisté.
Il a insisté là-dessus.
S'il n'y a pas de paix, cela devient difficile. Il y a une grosse possibilité de mobilisation des fonds. Des partenaires sont prêts. Ils veulent même en apporter davantage dans la conjoncture. Ils veulent voir ces régions retrouver le chemin du développement et de la paix, parce que c'est des régions productives. On connaît les populations de ces régions travailleuses, et on connaît aussi qu'il y a une grosse capacité en termes de production dans ces régions. Et donc le Premier ministre l'a rappelé, et il est important d'insister là-dessus, il faudrait que chacune des articulations, chacun des maillons de ce processus contribue à la paix. Donc que chacun des maillons de ce processus contribue à la paix. Et dans cette dynamique, nous avons donc besoin de voir que cette paix est consolidée. Et cette paix n'est pas un acquis, c'est un processus qu'il faut chaque jour consolider. Et en cela, je tenais, à la suite de vos présentations, à insister sur ce volet que le Premier ministre a mis aussi en avant. Il est donc important que chacun des acteurs, dans la quête de ce développement, de cette reconstruction amorcée, se disent que sans la paix, rien ne sera possible. Il y a certes des séquelles, il y a des blessures, mais il y a une volonté commune qui semble se dégager de plus en plus à retourner vers l'essentiel. Et la paix est donc la condition sine qua non sans laquelle on ne saurait vraiment y arriver.
Dans tous les cas, ici à Buea, Christian Dobo, on l'a vu, que ce soit les gardiens des traditions ou le clergé, les acteurs de la société civile, les représentants de l'administration, tous sont concernés et semblent désormais regarder dans la même direction pour que le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest de Cameroun se relèvent justement de ces années de crise.
Oui, d'ailleurs, vous faites bien dire, se relever de ces années de crise. Le plus important, c'est de s'apercevoir que tout le monde a pris conscience de ce que l'effort doit être collectif. Il y a la partition de l'État et le Premier ministre qui est là, à la mission du chef de l'État qui lui a été commandée. Il a d'ailleurs dit, l'État veut jouer sa partition, mais l'État ne pourra rien faire s'il n'y a pas l'adhésion des populations qui sont d'abord les premières concernées. Ces populations-là manifestent un certain nombre de préoccupations et c'est pour ça, on le disait tantôt, qu'il est important de les écouter. On a vu le Premier ministre dans cette démarche d'évaluation, elle est surtout sous-tendue par une envie d'écouter.
Et c'est même l'une de ses dernières consignes dans son allocution, la volonté que ce plan soit plus un plan de proximité, d'intégration. Oui.
Et dans cette démarche inclusive, il est donc important d'écouter les populations, de prendre en compte leurs préoccupations et surtout d'être des artisans de paix dans chacune des localités concernées. On était un peu, en tout cas personnellement, pas très à l'aise de savoir qu'il y a certaines des localités qui n'ont pas pu bénéficier d'un certain nombre de financements pourtant disponibles parce que certains partenaires ont posé d'abord la condition de la paix. Vous voyez, ça peut freiner la démarche.
Et au-delà de la condition de la paix, je pense que le président de ce comité, le ministre Paul Tasson, l'a souligné, le difficile accès aux données, les données qui ne sont pas toujours actualisées et disponibles à temps, et l'interpellation, si on peut le dire comme ça, Christian Dobo, du Premier ministre sur le fait que ces acteurs-là devraient participer activement, même s'ils ne font pas partie de ce comité, mais ramener ces informations pour que le comité puisse être au courant des difficultés et ne pas seulement attendre des moments comme ceux-ci.
Effectivement, les données qui sont très importantes dans ce type de programmation, des plans, ça ne reste que des démarches prévisionnelles, avec une bonne intention et une stratégie de mobilisation à la fois des partenaires, des fonds et surtout de tous les acteurs concernés. Et dans cette démarche-là, il est important d'avoir des données actualisées pour ne pas avoir des propositions qui sont en déphasage de la réalité. Et donc le Premier ministre l'a recommandé tout à l'heure. On pourra donc retenir de façon assez non exhaustive, on pourra retenir à la fois la nécessité d'avoir la paix, la nécessité de rendre inclusif chacune des actions qui est menée et surtout pour revenir à l'événement aujourd'hui, on a vu d'ailleurs le Premier ministre, vous l'avez abondamment d'ailleurs présenté, être accueilli de façon assez exceptionnelle depuis qu'il a franchi la rive du pont sur le Mungo. Des localités comme Tiko, Moutengene, on a vu la ferveur des populations qui sont sorties. Aujourd'hui, c'était un pan. Tout à l'heure, nous allons, dans le déploiement de Dash, à la suite du Premier ministre, voir du côté de Sassé.
Oui, parce qu'il n'est pas seulement question de s'asseoir dans des salles et parler de projets. Et par exemple, il y a eu un rectificatif. Le Premier ministre n'ira peut-être pas à Sassé, mais ira dans un autre établissement assez stratégique islamique. C'est un établissement islamique, voilà.
Qui est ici. En tout cas, l'intention est d'associer, de rallier les rencontres comme celle-ci, des sessions comme celle-ci. D'ailleurs, nous en sommes à la 6e, à l'action menée sur le terrain, qui n'est pas suffisante, il faut se le dire. Et d'ailleurs, le Premier ministre, qui l'a fait en termes de rappel, et à sa suite, le ministre Paul Tasson, qui est d'ailleurs celui qui coordonne, n'est-ce pas, le suivi de ce comité, a rappelé la nécessité de continuer à œuvrer pour que le champ, le spectre qui puisse être touché par chacune des actions de ce comité soit suffisamment large. Et donc, au-delà des sessions, nous en sommes à la 6e, il y a la matérialisation sur le terrain et il y a surtout la nécessité de faire en sorte que tout le monde se sente concerné.
Est-ce que Christian Dobo, on peut jouer la carte de l'image ici en représentant ces sessions un peu comme une toile d'araignée qui est en train d'être tissée justement?
Vous sortez exactement l'image qui pourrait sied la mieux à cette démarche. Vous voyez, de la première session à celle qu'on vit aujourd'hui, il y a eu des étapes, des améliorations. Et à chacune de ces étapes, il y a l'intégration des préoccupations des populations. Et il faut bien que nos téléspectateurs et ceux qui suivent cet événement depuis le matin ne le prennent pas pour un aboutissement complet.
Non, c'est un chantier enclenché en 2023.
C'est un processus seulement lancé en 2023
qui est en cours,
qui est évalué de manière régulière tous les 6 mois, chaque année. Et le principal problème est d'intégrer ce qui, on peut se permettre de le dire, semblait être à la base des crises que nous avons vécues sociopolitiques dans les régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest, les revendications peut-être corporatives, mais aussi des populations à se sentir intégrées, écoutées dans les décisions qui sont prises en leur faveur.
On va rassurer les téléspectateurs avant de rendre l'antenne Christian Dobo sur le fait que malgré, on a peut-être eu le sentiment, ceux qui nous regardent, que ça a été juste un monologue entre les autorités et le comité avec le public. Il n'en est rien parce que tout à l'heure, en fin d'après-midi, le ministre Paul Tasson, en tant que président de ce comité, va se prêter au jeu de questions-réponses avec une conférence où les journalistes pourront poser des questions pointues, notamment vous.
Notamment les questions
techniques. Et ce sera en direct sur Dash TV. Et vous, Christian Dobo, vous serez aux premières lignes, justement, dans cet exercice-là. Et on l'espère jouer des coudes pour un entretien avec le Premier ministre, chef du gouvernement, Joseph Dion Kouté. Dans tous les cas, on a pitché les acteurs clés de ce comité-là pour que nos téléspectateurs soient véritablement au fait de ce qui se passe.
Alors vous me permettez, pour la mission de Dash, nous sommes là, c'est vrai, pour le rendu de cette assise, mais pour continuer de manifester notre identité, qui est non seulement la voix de l'Afrique, mais d'être présent là où se déroulent les événements qui nécessitent à être portés à la connaissance de nos téléspectateurs et de nos concitoyens. Et c'est ce que nous faisons ici parce que la préoccupation et la reconstruction des régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest ne concernent pas que ces régions. Au-delà de cette région, c'est le Cameroun tout entier qui veut voir renouveler une espèce de vie d'antan, de développement économique et de reprise de la relance socio-économique dans cette partie du pays, le Nord-Ouest et le Sud-Ouest.
Vous l'avez dit, monsieur le directeur de l'information, avec votre quitus, nous allons rendre l'antenne et nous retrouver.
Peut-être pas mon quitus, mais celui de la direction des programmes et de la direction de la production. C'est eux qui nous mettent à l'antenne et c'est eux qui nous donnent le quitus d'y aller ou de ne plus être.
Dans tous les cas, vous êtes le directeur de l'information et vous donnez le ton. Mesdames, messieurs, vous êtes bien sur Dash TV et nous étions en direct de Boya, où nous avons vécu de bout en bout le lancement de la 6e session d'évaluation du comité
de suivi et d'évaluation du plan présidentiel de reconstruction et de développement du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest Cameroun, au pied du mont Cameroun. Nous vous disons à très vite, puisque nous allons nous retrouver pour la suite.
Pour la suite tout à l'heure, et si la production nous le permet, on va le dire à nos téléspectateurs. Pour ceux qui auraient des questions particulièrement à vouloir adresser au ministre Paul Tasson, parce que nous le ferons en live tout à l'heure, nous sommes preneurs et nous pourrons nous faire le plaisir d'être le relais de ces interrogations. Voilà.